And this is the beginning of the next phase, the next stage. How will today fare for the playoff 12? And you've got that Rheem Toyota of Christopher Bell leading the field to green. It's time to bring the action here in Kansas. Let's go. Let's get the next phase of the playoffs started. Briscoe looking for an early inside move on Blaney. Couldn't quite get it done. Oh, there's already an incident. At the back of the pack, Josh Berry is one of the cars.
Lock it down.
Mentioned Josh Berry, the 16 as well. Ty Dillon, we saw him spinning around. My eyes are peeled for the 9 of Chase Elliott to see if he got through the mess. Remember, he was back there as well. Because of that required engine change, I think he was fortunate enough to sneak through. There's Chase. Doesn't look like any damage on the 9, but that had to have the hearts racing of the fans for Chase Elliott and for sure the crew. Let's see what happens, Jeff. As always, crazy 2, 3, 4 wide in the back.
Berry's down on that low side. Look at Ty Dillon. Buescher checks up. Harrison Burton was in the middle there as well, and Jimmy Johnson making contact with Ty Dillon.
Yeah, it looked like the 9 of Chase Elliott gaining some spots on the outside and then 4 wide on corner exit. It's just narrow. It seems like, hard to tell from that angle, but the 21 was to the right of the 16. Then you had the 16, and there was a car to the left, and it looked like they converged onto the 16.
If you look in front of them, they get slow. Right in front of this. Kind of checked everybody up.
You know what that is? That's a restart wreck. That's a restart wreck at Kansas. We're going to see this time and time again.
Yeah, the Chase Elliott gets in the wall. Wonder how much damage it is, and it's always worrisome when you start in the back.
Keep an eye on that 9. 4 wide. Elliott goes around the outside, and this is where things start to go sideways.
You see, Buescher slows down there. Not sure if the 16 got into the side of the 21 or the 21 came down, but either way, contact. There you go. This would be a great shot.
Yeah, I'm not sure the cause. Well, we know the cause, and it's contact between the 16, the 21, and the 4. And either way, this is the result. 84 Jimmy Johnson, as mentioned before, has some damage. Whew, that's exciting for the 9.
Lap 1.
Yeah, the right side. You know, I mean, enough damage that maybe I would come down pit road and take a look at it. No reason not to where he is in the running order.
Chase created a nice avenue and alley, too, for Todd Gilliland, who was tucked in behind him. You may have noticed that. He followed him straight down the wall.
You know, if you ask yourself why so aggressive so early, Jeff, I think that's the mindset that's required, to be honest. I don't think you could just give up the first restart. You know, 20 years ago, I think most people played nicely through 1 and 2 and kind of figured it out. But these races, when we talk track position, we don't mean 5th to 8th. We mean every position in the field is so highly contested, you have to be aggressive.
You see damage. That's just today's racing. You mentioned it. You got to go hard right off the bat. Let's listen to what Chase Elliott's team was talking about.
Yeah, I mean, it was right rear only, but it never, like, totally straightened me out, you know, so it was pretty light. My wheel has not moved.
So that's some positivity coming out of the 9. And it's kind of forming a bit of a trend here over the last handful or so of races at Kansas Speedway. That is an early caution. Lucky escape for the 9, not so much for Ty Dillon, Josh Berry, and others. NBC Sports coverage of NASCAR on USA is brought to you by Credit One Bank, NASCAR American Express card. Toyota, let's go places. Coca-Cola Zero Sugar, is it the best Coke ever? And by Straight Talk Wireless. So we got going, and as soon as we got going, we went under caution, but this man here led the field to green. The 29-year-old from Oklahoma, Christopher Bell, in his 4th year at Joe Gibbs Racing, has had quite the year. 3 wins on this season. He's in the playoff 12 again, and he's the only driver in the playoffs who's made it to the championship for the last 2 years in succession. Could this be the year he becomes a Cup champion? As we welcome you back, live pictures, let's take you back to what caused this opening lap caution.
We got a little more time to really watch this and watch the 21, the 16, the 9. So the 9 gets on the outside of the 21, the 17's coming up. The 21 can't go up any higher. And I just don't think the 16 knows that there's 3, is 2 above him.
Correct.
And just moves up the racetrack.
That's what happens. I think the 16 believes the 21 might be able to pull up in front of the 9 or doesn't know the 9's back there. But I mean, either way, the result's the same. We're going to see this all day long, and I'm more shocked, Diff, the times that it works, because that's a standard restart. There was nothing special about that. That's Kansas. 4 wide will be nearly every restart off turn 2. It's amazing to me how well the drivers get through there most of the time. This time, just not so fortunate. And
it was Christopher Bell who won the poll, who said, ask any of the drivers, and they say Kansas restarts are crazy. Got to qualify well. I want that prioritized track position to get out and get clean. And by the way, just over the course of today, keep an eye on Kyle Busch. You see the 8 sitting there on the 2nd row, tucked in behind Christopher Bell. Could this be the day that Kyle Busch breaks a 50-race winless drought? He sure has got close over the last few races. We'll see what today has in store for the man who's won multiple times here at Kansas Speedway. Take 2, let's see if we can get some laps under green. Here we go. Ty Gibbs gets a good restart, so too did Tyler Reddick.
Ryan and Blaney, that white hooded car, 3 wide in the middle. Stack up back in the middle. You see the 5 involved, the 2 of Cindric, that bright yellow car on the bottom, the 77 right in the middle of Hocevar.
Goes right past his teammate Zane Smith, tucked in behind Chase Briscoe.
Nothing sorted out front as we're still 2 wide between Joe Gibbs Racing Toyota teammates Ty Gibbs and Christopher Bell.
Ty Gibbs with the advantage right here. Gets a little bit tight on corner exit.
There is a healthy dose of frustration inside that 54. Ty Gibbs was annoyed, flat out annoyed, the way that things went the way they did at Bristol last week. He served a penalty, staged a good comeback, but it wasn't enough to get him to transfer to the round of 12 in these playoffs. So now it's about wins. Now it's going on the attack. Try and get that career Cup first win, Jeff.
Yeah, it's so important. They've been so close. They're capable of winning. And I think Christopher Bell getting the lead. So many times he's sat on the pole but has not ended up with the lead early in the race. Today he did. Now he controls it.
Bottom of the screen, you want to talk about depth of field. There were past years where Chase Elliott would just slice through the field, drive right up into the top 20. Here he is still in 30th, and it is an absolute battle. Chris Buescher, one of the drivers that was in that photo finish in the spring, right to his outside. You see clearing the 9 as now Briscoe and Bubba Wallace up top side by side.
If you weren't with us for Countdown to Green, that photo finish that Steve was referring to, 1,000th of a second. Larson over Buescher, the closest NASCAR Cup Series finish ever earlier this year. What kind of a finish are we going to get today has been a common question. William Byron in that Valvoline Chevrolet for Hendrick Motorsports is making good early progress.
And in practice, this is kind of known as a Toyota track. We see Hamlin run well here, the 2311 cars. But this man on board with Joey Logano with his Hunt Brothers pizza camera. I thought both Logano and Blaney, from my expectations, from the studying we did, looking back at past film here at Kansas, I think Logano and Blaney have better cars than I expected this weekend.
Yeah, I thought Blaney he was my pick today. Tons of speed in practice, qualified well. But there's a lot of racing to go between now and the end of this race.
On board Alex Bowman, who has been the standout, really, as far as consistency from the first phase of the playoffs for the round of 16. He had a really consistent, healthy first 3 races, Steve.
The numbers say it, but I feel like he's still driving with a little bit of chip on his shoulder that his job was in question, and I appreciate it.
But that's a good thing.
I love it, because I think that's going to be the goal. We talked about how do you advance out of this round. For the 48 of Alex Bowman, it's rinse and repeat. They scored 120 points in 3 races, scored points in every single stage. All Atlanta, Glen, and Bristol, you see the last 3 finishes. The 18th at Watkins Glen doesn't look good, but remember, Jeff, you and I talk about this. It's how many points you score, just not where you finish. If you have great stage finishes, that takes away issues. Chase Elliott continues to battle.
Yeah, it's a great battle right here. You can see how difficult it is. Steve, you did a great job of explaining it. The competition is so tight today. It is hard to get from the back of the pack to the front. And this racetrack, although it's wide, when drivers can get up by the wall and start making that work, it makes it very difficult to complete that pass on the bottom.
These two are helping each other, these two being Chase Elliott and Todd Gilliland. Todd started behind Chase, got by him, 3 wide here, Chastain up near the wall. Check this out, Martin Truex in the middle and Ricky Stenhouse Jr. But going back to Gilliland and Elliott, they're dragging each other forward. Elliott is up 13 position from the drop of the green, Gilliland up 6. That's great progress.
Well, Chase Elliott on the bottom. He has now caught another yellow spoiler. That signifies a playoff driver. Brad Keselowski got by, but that car on the right in front of Chase Elliott is Chase Briscoe. So started at the back. That's like a little, just small wins. You've now ran down a playoff driver going by quite easily.
Yeah, and Briscoe, he struggled in practice yesterday. Qualified 9th, which I thought was an incredible job of qualifying based on the speed they had in practice. And since the start of this race, he has lost 16 spots. So certainly a playoff guy going the wrong way.
Baby watch for Briscoe. Wife Marissa expecting twins literally every day, any day now, Kim.
That's right, and you talked about the good qualifying effort. Crew Chief Richard Boswell told me they outkicked their coverage with that qualifying. This typically isn't Chase's best racetrack, and to add to that, yesterday he was missing comfort more than anything, and with comfort comes speed. That also affects confidence, so right now the handling still not to where Chase likes it.
Never had a top 10 here, Chase Briscoe, and that's what he does not want to focus on when he needs to perform well in this first race of the round of 12. Check this out. We showed you earlier the 3 wide. Truex in the middle. Truex just scuffs the side there.
And almost at the same time, the one, Ross Chastain had his hand out the window, like signaling, like he knew it was coming.
Take it easy on me. Here's Chastain's teammate on the low line in that bright blue car, kind of that aqua color of Daniel Suarez. He's on the rebound. It was a nail-biting, nerve-wracking end to Bristol last weekend, but he had enough. He had enough points from earlier in the playoffs to help get him through, just squeak his way through, and now he's got to go in attack mode, Steve.
And I think after we have got through an elimination race, the drivers that are still battling, that's fresh in their mind, right? It's one thing to talk about it at the start of the playoffs, but then when they just lived it a week ago at Bristol, all these drivers, or most of these drivers, were talked about around the cut line at some point. This race is your opportunity to get out of that conversation.
Let's talk more about the man who leads this race. Here's Marty. What you got?
Well, Lee, Jeff mentioned it just a moment ago. So far, goal accomplished for Christopher Bell on the pole, trying to, for the first ever time. Oh, the
Marty, we've got issues.
is in the wall. We'll check on that.
Goodness. Remember what happened in Atlanta? The 5 crashed out in spectacular style in the first race of the playoffs.
A whole bunch of them coming down.
Now the #1 seed, Kyle Larson, who dominated last weekend in Bristol, has issues in the first race of a new round. Carson Hocevar right behind. Kyle goes up high, but something's already happened. That rear right.
He had a tire down. Right rear tire went down. You can see it sparking, hitting the racetrack, Steve.
You see the right rear tire, you see the dust. What that is the vertical strakes, the carbon fiber off the diffuser. Right rear tire goes flat, drops the back of the car, the diffuser hits the ground. Listen. You can hear the tire pop, you can hear the flat tire hitting the wheel well. Actually pretty fortunate he was running the top because he kind of half spins and the wall catches him. I'm sure there's slight damage, but if he's running the bottom of the racetrack, that's probably day over for the 5 car.
That is exactly right, Steve. Watch right here. When the tire fails, The car sets down, the right rear comes around, touches the wall, right front comes and touches the wall. If he is in the middle of the racetrack or on the bottom, that car spins and makes major contact. And his day, Marty, would have been over for sure.
Boy, Jeff, this is how the Cup Series runs. 1 week you're dominating with one of the most dominant performances we have seen in recent memory. The next week you're in the wall early in stage 1. The one important thing that Kyle Larson told Cliff Daniels, Steve, is he said, I feel like that my toe is not knocked off, and I feel like my steering is fairly close. And Cliff Daniels now just saying over the radio, it appears as though we ran over debris in the right rear because Cliff was able to spot a hole in the right rear. We'll diagnose that a little bit further.
Well, it doesn't make it any better, but if it's an obvious cut, that makes me feel better as a crew chief that there isn't a setup issue or an air pressure issue. I mean, it doesn't, you know, take away the flat tire, take away the potential damage, but at least now you know, let's just focus on getting the car back to as pristine as possible. We don't think we have a long-standing issue.
Well, I mentioned about history kind of repeating. Let's take you back to the first race of the playoffs. Just a few weeks ago in Atlanta, this happened.
Yeah, major impact. You think about Kyle Larson dominated the race at Bristol last week, but that was the only race in the playoffs that he hasn't had some kind of problem.
That's right. This was lap 56, and it took out Chase Briscoe as well. Larson finished second last, Briscoe last in Atlanta, and these two guys are still here in the playoffs in the round of 12.
And as we see the repairs continue on the 5, I expect pit road to be open this time. And with 60 laps to go in this stage, I expect the whole field, the entire field, to come down pit road because of fuel. I think they like, and they'll probably take tires, but the call here is fuel. You can go now from this point to the end of the stage with a stop here.
And here they come. Right on point, Steve, right on cue, and Parker, they're headed your way.
Right, a very busy pit road here for Joe Logano, who was qualified in the 5th position and currently in the 5th position. He said, I just need more entry stability into turn 3. He'll do 4 Goodyear tires at Sunoco Fuel.
As we look at the stop of William Byron, the call for fresh Goodyear tires, Sunoco Fuel, no adjustments. That's because Byron said tight landing in 3 and 4, but feel good overall. I don't want anything adjustment-wise, just a good stop, Marty.
Kim in their window to make it to the end of stage 1. What a quick stop for Tyler Reddick and his race team, who said he feels like he's losing speed on the front stretch. Meanwhile, for Christopher Bell and his team, very happy with the car. They led every lap to this point, but did they win the race off pit road? They did, Diff.
There you see the race off pit road and the important numbers. And this is why we're under caution for the second time today here in Kansas. The #1 seed in the playoffs, Kyle Larson, in the wall. Did you know that you can sign up for the NASCAR newsletter to stay up to speed on all the latest from the track and get your chance to win 2 tickets to a race next year in the 2025 series? Just scan the QR code you see on your screen or head to nascar.com/race ticket promo to enter. I want to say thanks to Traveller Whiskey bringing us this aerial coverage. Less than half an hour away is downtown Kansas City. It brings us right here, right into the center of your screen, Kansas Speedway. Under caution, let's get some updates from pit road. Marty, you're up first.
Lee, wanted to show you the cut in the right rear for Kyle Larson. There is the cut, as Steve said. Probably makes Cliff Daniels feel a little bit better, but that's the cut, and that's why the tire went down. In terms of the steering, it is still straight for Kyle Larson. Said he felt a little bit of a vibration. They checked everything on the right rear suspension, though, Parker, and signed off that it should be okay. We'll find out when he gets to speed.
Right, Marty. And for Ryan Blaney, he had a bit of a slow stop there, came inside the top 10, exit outside the top 10. They had trouble in the left rear and also accelerating out of the pit box. He said it's very slippery, and I actually experienced that yesterday in the Xfinity race. These are very slippery pit boxes. We'll keep an eye on that throughout the day for issues on pit road.
All right, everybody reset and refocused, ready to go again. As Steve said, they're topped up nicely on fuel. If they want to, and if it pans out this way, they can go all the way to the end of the stage with 56 to go when they cross the line this time. Time to go, let's go. Bell at the front, as it's been all day long. Here we go. Logano goes down on that low side immediately on the attack in the 22. Great move, Joey Logano. Straight to the front.
Christopher Bell's got the right rear quarter panel. That's going to drag Joey Logano back. Ty Gibbs going to try to go by him. William Byron also.
Denny Hamlin down on the low line. Tyler Reddick up on his high side. What's going to work out best today here in Kansas? Busch with Keselowski. And then Justin Haley in his new ride in the 7 in the Gainbridge car, returning to Spire Motorsports. In the draft of Martin Truex Jr. He started his Cup career at Spire, raced 35 times for the organization. And then that seat swap with Corey LaJoie. Corey headed to Rick Ware. Justin Haley is back, kind of where it all started at Spire.
The 3 orange cars of Truex, Stenhouse, and Chastain finally get organized, but they've been 3 wide a couple times today. You mentioned Justin Haley. A lot of interest in how he runs in this 7 car. Returning to Spire. I think he's has a promising upside to him. I think there's a lot of owners and other teams interested to see what this change looks like for the driver of the 7.
Jeff, what does the day and what does the rest of this season look like now for Martin Truex Jr. in the 19, seeing how there's no more playoff pressure, there's no more playoff picture. What does that look like? Just go and enjoy your racing and try and get that win in your final season?
Yeah, well, look, he loves the race. That's why he's still here. But it's certainly last week, making the mistake that he made, which contributed to them not making the next round of the playoffs. That hurts, and that's something you got to put behind you. But yeah, you got to stay hungry. But I think it's a kind of a time for celebration around Martin's career, what he's done. Take a little bit of time for his team, but they're going to stay hungry. They're going to try to win races.
Hamlin and Reddick. Reddick, who's one of the top seeds in this round of 12, is coming off a 27th and 20th place finish. That just sounds highly unusual for Tyler Reddick, one of the best in the NASCAR Cup Series. And he's using today at a track where he has won before, this race a year ago, as the reignition point, if you wish, just to get his playoffs back on track, back what he would like to do. Gibbs is fending off William Byron. This is a great race and a great scrap for second place.
And I think this is the type of run that a lot of people are looking for out of a 24 car. This car won 3 of the first 8 races, came out of the box so unbelievably fast to start the year, but then it just quieted down over the summer. They've had a few runs they can look back to, but not that early year form. Here he is taking the 2nd position for Ty Gibbs.
This too is an important race for William Byron and the 24 team and Hendrick Motorsports, just looking for that playoff spark, just to jump out a little bit and say, yeah, that's a little bit more like it. There's been tremendous consistency from William this year in the top 5 as we look back with thanks to Hunt Brothers Pizza, from Joey Logano's car to Tyler Reddick.
All right, Sobo, 1 then 3. 1 then 2. With you, headlight.
It's a good battle right here. We mentioned Blaney lost 7 spots on that restart, went back to 14th, battling Bowman for 7th. Good forward momentum. His teammate Austin Cindric, also a playoff driver, he's gained 5 spots. Somebody that hasn't gained any spots, Kyle Larson in the back. We saw the problems that he had, blew the right rear tire, made contact with the wall, and he's back here in 32nd. He has not been able to make any progress.
And a lot of the downforce of this car is made underneath. It's not going over the outside of the car like in previous conditions. So while we can't see, you have to imagine when that tire goes flat, what it damages in those vertical strakes, that diffuser, when it drags on the racetrack, that takes performance out of this 5 car.
Let's not lose sight of the fact that at Hendrick Motorsports, all 4 cars from HMS are still in these playoffs. There's the 48 of Alex Bowman. We were talking about him. He's the only playoffs driver who never had an issue in the first round of the playoffs, in the round of 16. Talking with Blake Harris, his crew chief, and Doug Spencer, chief engineer, yesterday, and I asked them, I was like, how is this happening? Why is this run happening now? And they said, well, it's kind of reminiscent of what we had earlier in the year in May and June, which led us to win in Chicago. We feel like we're executing that way, and we feel like we're in a good spot. Yes, Alex is outside the cut line at the moment, coming into this round of 12, but they feel, Steve, that they're in a really good spot.
Well, there's no reason not to. I mean, what this 48 did in that first round, right? Everyone's supposed to step up in the playoffs, and they probably took the biggest step. So they're one of these teams that I wonder what the reset does to them, Parker. Remember, 120 points scored, such a huge gap at the end of the first round, comes in below the cut line.
Right, Steve, that was a really impressive start to the playoffs, and I think the start of this race is indicative of what we've seen out of this 48 team. They started in 12th, and they have methodically moved themselves towards the top 5. Alex is very happy with the handling of that race car right now, and this 48 is just doing what the 48 has done in this 2024 playoffs, which is rise up and have the speed to compete, Kim.
And his teammate William Byron riding in the 2nd position. This is a great long run car. They were top of the board, consecutive 10-lap speed in practice. Crew chief Rudy Fugel told me one of the goals for the playoffs was earn more stage points. Stage points and stage wins was one of their weaknesses over the regular season. They have upped their game, Marty, now in position to grab a bunch of stage points with 44 to go in stage 1.
Kim, to Jeff's point, Kyle Larson has gone nowhere. He finally was able to pass one car. He's up to 31st, but interesting radio transmission from Cliff Daniels to Kyle Larson before this run started. Listen in.
The debris that caused the flat, because some of your diffuser has a missing section. If anything, you could be a little looser here. I do think the tire was going down over that run. Looking at your steering and throttle, I could tell the car was loose. I do think it was a slow leak on the tire. So take it for what it is right now. We'll just keep marching our way forward, and we'll do the best we can to keep working on it.
So, Steve, the important part of that from Cliff Daniels is he thought it was a slow leak on the tire. So how would that maybe affect the changes that Cliff Daniels would make to the car when it's a slow leak versus going all at once?
Well, if it's a slow leak, then it's obviously affected how the car drove in that first run. So all the feedback that Kyle Larson gave you, I think you're going to have to just throw out the window. The bigger concern for me for the 5 is just the overall pace right now. You know, he's a solid half a second, 3/4 of a second off what I think this 5 can do. Now, I think they can make improvements, but you just wonder how much potential, Jeff, has been taken out of this car with the damage.
Yeah, it makes me nervous for them because some of that stuff is very difficult to fix. Will they ever get that speed back?
How about Eric Jones? Up high, too high, in the wall, and he was forced to come to pit road. Back racing at Kansas Speedway, and Hendrick Motorsports, William Byron is having a good day. He runs second. The 26-year-old from North Carolina, who always had wheels and racing in his life. So keen. He attended his first race almost 20 years ago. He was a National Legends champion and seemed destined to do this from a very young age. He does it well. He made the championship round, the round of 4 in Phoenix last year. He'd love to make it again and go all the way to be a NASCAR Cup Series champion.
So much talent. And you saw it as soon as he started racing. Think about the success he had in the Truck Series, then Xfinity, and then into the Cup Series. And I think he has a lot of championships inside of him. He is a talented race car driver. But Steve, not only that, he's smart, and he thinks about driving this race car and the things he can do to be better as a driver. He doesn't just point the finger at the team and say, you guys got to do a better job. He does his part. And there's a lot of long-term success with this guy.
24 and 54 both right up against the wall. 54 running a little bit lower here. This is pretty much how you go to battle here at Kansas. 54 looking a little bit lower into the corner, trying to get some air to that front splitter, pulling it underneath the car, pulling the car to the racetrack with that diffuser.
Watch right behind the left front tire or the right front tire. You can see when the driver lifts, you can see the 54 car fire coming out of the exhaust pipes. He's wanted to be in the gas, but he just couldn't stay in the gas.
Remember when we sat down with all 16 playoff drivers prior to Atlanta? William Byron told us that this race was one of the races he was nervous about here in Vegas based on previous race results. As we climb aboard with thanks to Toyota, this is Tyler Reddick. Let's go for a ride. Have a listen. Great to hear that throttle modulation, Jeff.
Well, it's such a fun racetrack because you can do so many different things, and there's no right way to do it, right? One driver can be running the exact same speed as you are, driving it completely differently. And that throttle input, when you want to be in the gas, is different here than a lot of racetracks. Right against the wall in the middle of the corner, you can go wide open in the gas, carry tons of speed, then lift again before the exit. Normally you don't want to do that. Normally you want to wait on the throttle, then go full throttle on corner exit. But here it just provides so many options for drivers.
And while we ride along with Tyler Reddick, a reminder that DraftKings Sportsbook is an authorized gaming operator of NASCAR. And this week, new customers can bet $5 and pocket $200 in bonus bets instantly. Download the app, use the promo code SPEED when you sign up. DraftKings Sportsbook, the crown is yours. Stevie, the numbers are in the bottom left there. Who catches your eye? Who's good money?
The numbers have shifted. Kyle Larson, the favorite coming into the race, but now with that flat tire, he's all the way down at 10-1. Bell leading at 3-1, but I think there's some drivers we have yet to see. Bell is leading, should be the favorite, but what about Gibbs? Could today be his first ever career winning, running third with good pace? You could bet on him now at 9-1.
What about Blaney? He's running 6 plus 1,000.
It's the gambler in you, or Diff. You could take Bowman. All kinds of long odds there. I was watching this battle between the 9 and the 99. Oh, just a little contact. The 9 trying to get in line.
Chase Elliott up to 19.
Unfortunately for Daniel Suarez in the 99, since the restart, he has been going in the wrong direction. Suarez has lost 10 positions since the restart. His onboard view brought to you by Coca-Cola.
Playoff drivers take 8 of the top 9 positions. Only Ty Gibbs in 3rd. Suarez all the way down in 19th. Elliott 21st. Briscoe 26th. Larson 34th.
See the 71 of Zane Smith just got by Chase Elliott.
Well, let's continue this topic of conversation on Suarez, Marty.
As we ride on board with the Coca-Cola onboard, yeah, not been a very good day for Daniel Suarez, who said he's getting worse the longer the run goes. He said it starts very tight, and then it's very traffic sensitive as well for Daniel Suarez, who got into this round just barely right now in the 19th position. We were riding on board with Tyler Reddick a moment ago. You know, 23XI has won 3 of the last 5 races here, and Tyler Reddick, the defending winner of this race. But today, dealing with a unique issue in the 45. Listen in.
Work on that straightaway speed. Move around your mid corner. Low speed.
10-4, I'm not sure what I need right now, to be honest.
10-4, just keep focusing on that front straightaway and being able to put the throttle down a little earlier. Off 4.
So, Jeff, that's about the 5th or 6th time that Billy Scott has mentioned the front straightaway speed and the lack of it. So, as a driver, what can you do behind the wheel to create more momentum on the front stretch?
Well, Billy, the crew chief, said, think about what you need to do so you can go to the throttle sooner in the center and carry more speed off of 4. So the response from Tyler was, I'm not real sure what I need. So Tyler kind of likes the way his car is driving, no major complaints. So now I've been challenged. All right, this is the weak point. We need more front straightaway speed. So I know you think your car is pretty decent, but we got to find something. Where is it? What does this car need to do so you can go to the throttle sooner? And if you can do that, then we can gain front straightaway speed. That's great information, Steve. The driver doesn't always know exactly where he's getting beaten. You can see the 5 getting lapped by Christopher Bell, but now it's clear to him he's got to find a way to carry more speed on the exit of 4.
Just think about the difference of what a week makes. Last weekend at Bristol Motor Speedway, Kyle Larson had almost the perfect race. He led all but 38 laps of the 500 laps. He led more laps in a single race than any other Hendrick Motorsports driver in the history of the organization. And just then, he's gone down a lap. .18 laps to go as we welcome you back in stage 1, that is, here in the Hollywood Casino 400 at Kansas Speedway. We ride aboard the Rheem Toyota with Christopher Bell, who has dominated the opening portion of this race. He's led all but one lap. He's led 61. Joey Logano is having a promising day. The Shell Pennzoil Ford for Team Penske runs in the 4th spot at the moment. And this man here, who grew up in Connecticut but has called Charlotte, North Carolina home for a long time, the 2-time Cup Series champion, has had a good year, couple of wins. He's putting himself in contention again. Remember, he won the first race of the playoffs this year at Atlanta. This guy who thrives, Parker, on big pressure moments is relishing another opportunity.
That is for sure. They seem to always rise up in the playoffs. And if you look at Team Penske as a whole, we're starting to see that. All 3 of their cars here in the top 10, including Austin Cindric, who started back in 17th, is up to 7th. And this is interesting because this track historically has not been great for Team Penske. And we actually have seen Team Penske show up in this playoffs with more speed than maybe they had late in the summer earlier this year. And I had an interesting conversation with Brian Wilson, who's the crew chief on that number 2 car of Austin Cindric. And he said, you know, I think this place is kind of built for the playoffs, meaning Team Penske, in that when we all got wins in the summer, it allowed us as an organization to focus solely on the playoffs, and they've definitely had that speed. So Steve, I'm curious, from your perspective as a crew chief, as a team, what does that open up you or allow you to do to focus on the playoffs months in advance?
Well, you know, the teams that have to battle to the end of the regular season to make the playoffs, it's an emotional task, and it also takes a tremendous amount of manpower to continue to prep the best cars possible. While that's your goal every week, I mean, Diff, it's 40 weeks of racing. I mean, there's so much in the NASCAR schedule. You have to make concessions as a crew chief all the time. So to Parker's point, once these teams know they are playoff bound, not that they're giving up on the rest of the races in the regular season, but the coin flips. When you have to, assign manpower, you can start to look ahead at the tracks and the type of races that perhaps you're going to run at. Take somebody like Cindric, for instance. He was able to go do the tire test at Watkins Glen knowing that was a playoff race.
Good scrap going on here. Ryan Blaney, the reigning series champion. Denny Hamlin up on the high side. We've spoken so much about Denny throughout the playoffs and what went right and what went wrong, and unfortunately more went wrong, but he had enough accumulated points to get through. Bristol last weekend was a much better performance from the 11 team.
But now this looks like the Denny Hamlin we expected. Now, yes. I'm not saying 5th, but, top 5, top 6, top 7 runs, being the aggressor, not waiting for the points to come to him, but going and taking them. I'm not sure the 11's exactly what he's looking for currently, but only 68 laps in the race. He's made a career out of just kind of keeping it around, keeping it in one piece, and getting good when it matters the most towards the end of the race.
Let's talk more about Hamlin. Here's Kim Kuhn. Kimmy?
Yeah, you guys mentioned that first round, the roller coaster he and the team had. So I asked crew chief Chris Gabehart to describe the first round for me, and he said, anxious, too close. And then I said, how do you hope that the second round goes at the end? What are you going to say about it? He said, I hope we're more focused. They were battle tested sooner in the playoffs than they expected, but they feel like they're stronger for it. Right now, Hamlin just complaining a little too tight, especially exit turn 4 doesn't have the turn he needs.
Can you imagine if the 3-time Daytona 500 winner goes on, Jeff, to get this elusive first Cup championship? And we're still going to be talking about that first race in Atlanta, aren't we?
Well, and he's going to look back and say, I told you so, right? And he laid it all out there, and it was a gamble. But Denny is a confident guy, and he when he has an opinion, he's going to let you know about it, and he's going to follow through on it. So he had a plan going into that race, and he did what he needed to do, rode around in the back in Atlanta. We all questioned it because we know how good of a racer he is. We wanted to see him out front, but he was afraid he was going to get in the wreck, and he took the defensive mode, and it worked. At the end of the day, he advanced out of that round.
Great move by Joey Logano to be able to carry the speed through the bottom of 1 and 2. He'll drive in deep in 3 and 4. Will he try to slide up in front? Nope, he'll just commit to the white line. Really nice work by Joey Logano to drive up into the 3rd position.
That was well planned, and that was telegraphed a little while back, wasn't it? And the gap between 1st and 2nd has come down. It's now less than half a second between Christopher Bell and William Byron.
Yeah, with 10 to go, see Christopher Bell starting to change his line. He's starting to leave the wall toward the exit and turn down. Watch what happens right here. Christopher Bell right against the wall, and then as he gets to the middle, he starts turning down the racetrack. Behind him, William Byron has been watching that. William made that adjustment that time as well. Behind them, though, Joey Logano is a little bit quicker than both of them.
Great look right here off the rear bumper of the 20, brought to you by Ream. I love these shots because this, I think, gives us a great view, to your point, Jeff, of what exactly Byron is doing, you know?
Yeah, that's why drivers love this racetrack, because you can go find grip. Look at Byron. He's doing something completely different this time.
Clear.
Joey Logano and Blaney are running them down.
How versatile is your car? Is it just a one-line car, or is it more versatile? Christopher Bell in the wall! The race leader who has dominated.
All clear, all clear.
71 laps he's led, and he's put it in the fence. And here come the attackers. William Byron forced Christopher Bell into that mistake. He was closing on the leader and closing rapidly.
Yeah, it shows you how important stage points are. Trying to win that stage, just overstepped his bounds a little bit. We were riding along when it happened. Gets in the corner, everything looks okay, but watch the back of the car. Just not the side grip it needs. He overcorrects it just a little bit, chases it up into the wall. Yeah, we were riding along when it happened, and that thing came around on him quickly.
William Byron forcing the opposition into an error, and now grabs hold of the lead of this race with just 6 laps remaining in stage 1.
50 laps on these Goodyear tires. We talk about a low grip racetrack. Well, now any sort of help that the Goodyear tires are supposed to be giving you, that's gone. You are slipping and sliding. That has to be your hard racing. If you're Christopher Bell, now you're just hoping that those right side tires make it these last 5 laps.
His JGR teammate Denny Hamlin on the attack now. Another JGR Toyota in the background in Ty Gibbs. The highest placed non-playoff driver, Gibbs, runs in 6th.
Daniel Suarez struggled in struggled in Bristol big time, Steve. Rode around in the, raced around in the 30s, had no speed whatsoever, running 30th again today.
And it looked better than this in practice, but whatever has changed from yesterday to today, whether it's the wind, the track conditions, the 99 is struggling for sure.
He's got to fight hard here. There's only 4 laps to go in this first stage. He's got to do everything he can to keep William Byron behind. Otherwise, he's going to be the 2nd playoff driver not on the lead lap in this race.
And William Byron knows it, right? William Byron wants to put him a lap down, and Logano and Blaney are right behind him, so he cannot just take it easy. He's got to get by him, and he does.
What a comeback from Ryan Blaney. That's just been an awesome drive. Since the last pit stop, he has been on the move. He's been on the climb, on the attack, and Logano goes by Suarez. Here comes Blaney. He's lining up for a shot as well.
We saw this yesterday in practice, Steve. The Penske cars were really fast on long runs. Logano all the way on the bottom of the racetrack.
That's what I like the most about the 22. Not just the speed, but he's able to move around, to go down to that white line and make it happen.
You'll hear the drivers in this portion of the season always talk about points, accumulating points, those stage points. We know that when you get further down the road, how important they are. Well, this opening stage has worked out incredibly well for William Byron. At a track that he said he might have been nervous about coming into the playoffs, so far so good for the 24. And the reigning champ has had a storming drive. After losing a lot of positions earlier, he has come back beautifully. Hunt Brothers Pizza View from Joey Logano's car. Blaney is in the groove.
Still there, bumper fairly.
Shadowing his teammate on this final lap of stage 1. And what looked like it was going to be a Christopher Bell victory in this first stage, in the end, it goes to William Byron. Well done. The Hendrick Motorsports driver gets those maximum points in the opening stage over Joey Logano and his teammate Ryan Blaney. Then Denny Hamlin, a very positive first stage, and Christopher Bell from pole to 5th in the first stage. Did you see that coming? I'm not sure any of us did, as Byron pressured Bell into an error to grab maximum points here in Kansas in the opening stage. NBC Sports coverage of NASCAR on USA is brought to you by Sonic. Live free, eat Sonic. Progressive Insurance. Save when you bundle auto, home, or motorcycle insurance. Visit progressive.com. Go bowling. Go to gobowling.com to find a center near you. And by Sam's Club. Join the club. That shows you what a beautiful day it is here in the Midwest. Downtown Kansas City, as we welcome you back. We're under caution for the stage break. And here go the 5 crew, going to work on Kyle Larson's damaged diffuser at the rear of the car.
Yeah, they just know that they're at an aero deficiency. They're going in there. They're trying to fix it. They've done a nice job so far. They're only 1 lap down. Now, they don't want to lose a lap here. So you see some tape, some vertical pieces being added. Right rear tire getting ready to go on. Calvin Teague, the tire changer, ready as the leaders now come to pit road, Parker.
And Joe Logano finished second in that stage. He just needs that car to turn a little bit better earlier in the run, but doesn't want to get too much because he feels like it could get loose later in the run. His teammate Ryan Blaney at the top right of your screen, just managing the rear slip, but felt like that car was really good, just a little free on the bottom, Kim.
See William Byron in the bottom left of your screen in the 24 car. He said pretty loose, couldn't get into 3 with much confidence. He said, help me a little, but do not hurt my front turn. It is very good. Small air pressure adjustment on those 4 fresh Goodyears, Marty.
After the contact with the wall, Christopher Bell fell from the lead to 5th, and it was interesting because Adam Stevens said, my fault there, bud. I put you in a bad spot. On the last stop, a bit of a miscommunication. They were on right side tires only. Bell said he was very free, but when he got into the wall, his quote was, that's a one-time thing.
There's the positives and negatives from the race off pit road. And fans, NASCAR and its premier partners want to thank you for your support. Let's take a look at one of NASCAR's biggest super fans, NASCAR, and his experience at Michigan International Speedway. NASCAR's been racing here at Kansas Speedway since 2001, and there's a terrific aerial shot of the facility and everything today from the air. We say thanks to Traveller Whiskey. Welcome back, Lee Diffie, Jeff Burton, Steve Letarte. Steve, we saw the #1 seed coming into the round of 12, Kyle Larson on pit road. What were the Hendrick guys working on?
Well, let's take a look at our Toyota virtual car and explain just exactly how downforce is made in this next-gen car. So that front splitter has that scoop which forces air through the back and underneath the car, and this is the splitter, or excuse me, the diffuser, all of this yellow right here. So when you look at these vertical, there's one here, and there's one here, and there's one here. The three on the right side are the ones you really look at. The internal ones bolt on, but the ones on the outside are very important, their proximity to the ground. So when the tire goes flat, you drag off those two outside vertical strakes, which makes the diffuser very inefficient. You can see right here in the back of the 5, they're not broken, they're not completely gone, but they're drug off, they're shorter, so they come down pit road, they try to replace the ones that they can. They also try to tape pieces on just to extend them to see if that will help as well. Parker, how about the two eccentric and extra pit stop?
Yeah, he had a top 10 finish there in stage 1 there, but I had a loose right rear wheel, so he had to come down and tighten that up.
And Austin is right at the back of the pack. Daniel Suarez is right there, just to his inside, ready to start stage 2. Let's go. William Byron, maximum points from the opening stage. Joey Logano and Team Penske teammate Ryan Blaney were in great shape. Carson Hocevar is in the mix. Gibbs is there. Here comes Alex Bowman. And Martin Truex Jr. made up several positions on that last stop as well.
Austin Cindric all the way at the back. Because of the extra pit stop, you don't get to pull up and restart with the lead lap cars. That's what they didn't do in the first round. They executed very effectively those extra pit stops. We don't know how much it's going to hurt them. Only time will tell.
That green hood, white, predominantly white car, the 6 of Brad Keselowski, got bounced out of the playoffs last weekend at Bristol Motor Speedway. Now it's just racing for honors, racing for wins. He's tucked in behind the 21-year-old Carson Hocevar. Meanwhile, at the front, Bell back on the attack. He saw those points get away from him, from a potential stage win to 5th. As he fights hard with his JGR teammate Ty Gibbs.
Another playoff driver kind of missing from the mix up front. Here's Tyler Reddick. He's back to 15th. He was running decent early in the race, kind of cycled back on those last few laps on board with the Toyota cam up against the fence. No surprise. But Jeff all the way back in 14th.
Yeah, this is the kind of racetrack you would think Tyler Reddick would be really good on, right against the wall. He loves running the top, but he just so far has not had it today.
Yeah, he went from 8th to 14th in just the final 8 laps of that stage. So whatever his handling issue was, when the tires were the oldest, it really glared.
Yeah, right there, back there with him, we saw a shot at Chase Elliott. Had to start in the back. He's made his way up to 19th.
How about in front of Reddick? The 41 of Priest, worst point now. You've mentioned it a couple times today up here during commercial. Priest, fast, running 14th. Another SHR car. I'm impressed with that organization and everything they're facing. We talk a lot about Briscoe. We just remind everybody, it's a 4-car organization. Briscoe's in the playoffs, but continuing to bring the best race cars they know how to bring, even knowing at the end of the year they're shutting down.
Chase Elliott, remember, started this race at the back of the pack after an engine change. There is the 9, the UniFirst Chevrolet. Elliott now runs 18th. So he's halved the field and continues to creep his way forward.
The big miss, even if he does recover, with that back starting position, no stage points.
Yep.
Right. So there's the penalties. Even if he recovers and runs 2nd, and people want to say, oh, it didn't matter, he ran 2nd. It does matter. When you start at the back, you just lose out on those stage points.
Bell and teammate Hamlin. Blaney down on the low side. Jeff, when we came on the air, you said this place is fun. And you detailed the reasons why. Look at the lines, the options in abundance, whether you want to be up in the fence, whether you want to be on the low side, they're putting their cars wherever. It looks like fun.
It's a great racetrack, and drivers like tracks where you can try to run different lines, do something different than the guy in front of you, do something different than the guy behind you, trying to block him. And on top of that, no car out here drives perfectly. Can I move around on the racetrack and make my car drive better, influence what my car is doing? This track allows you to do that.
Byron, Logano, Gibbs, and then we get to this battle here. The Joe Gibbs Racing Toyotas. As Hamlin eases past his teammate for now. But a few positions further back, in the 77 is Carson Hocevar. What can't this young man do? He has had an impressive rookie season. He leads the standings by some 56 points. As we drift a little further back, there's Alex Bowman. And then you pick up that blue and black Spire Motorsports Chevy. There he is right there, ahead of Martin Truex Jr. Steve, what's impressed you the most about this guy?
Just the raw speed. So we talk a lot about young drivers. It's fair to say they all have a lot to learn, but some are learning at a quicker rate than others, and some are just faster. Carson, to me, has a little bit of that it factor. You know, Jeff, just when you see this car, it does make some erratic moves at times and some things that I think will come with experience, but you cannot replace just car feel and pace. I think Hocevar has that raw talent.
Yeah, he definitely does. And we've got a lot of young talent in this field. Think about it, the two youngest that are in the field are the two best non-playoff drivers so far. Gibbs and Hocevar in this race. So we have a lot of talent. You know, I hear a lot of drivers, a lot of fans say, you know, these drivers just aren't as good as you guys were. That is 100% wrong. These drivers are exceptionally talented. They could compete against the best in my era. They have that much talent. They're better prepared. And this playoff format is more intense than what I raced under.
And look at what that FedEx number 11 is doing. Denny Hamlin is just going by them one at a time. He got by one teammate in Christopher Bell. Now he works on his younger teammate in Ty Gibbs. Let's declare today as Denny's back. This is the moment we've been waiting for in these playoffs. Yes, he went well last weekend in Bristol, but as Steve said earlier, this is the kind of form and race and speed that we were kind of expecting all the way back in Atlanta. He had those plug wire issues. They addressed those, but then he chose strategically to run at the back of the pack. Caution is out.
Eric Jones again, we saw him early in the race, got in the wall and had to pit.
Lost it off of 4. Just turned on it.
Well, there you go. He said he just lost it, and now it's stuck in the grass.
This is going to be very interesting because the 43 was running as the first car one lap down, Larson behind him. Why that matters is at the time of yellow, instantly, when the yellow lights come on, whoever is scored the first car one lap down is the free pass. The exception being if you are the yellow, which is the case for the 43. So we'll have to see, did the 5 pass the 43 before the yellow comes out? It's all done by computer. NASCAR doesn't get to decide. Right here, let's take a look what happened to the 43.
Well, here he is. You heard him say it just came around on him, and he's all by himself, and that is certainly what happened.
Well, remember, you know, Jones didn't get to run this race in the spring. He was coming off that huge wreck at Talladega where he broke his back.
Yeah.
So we're going to Talladega next week. It's just a reminder of how dangerous this is.
Look at that car. It just digs in the grass. And then it just can't get out. They have to come and pull him out.
Been an eventful day for Eric Jones. He was in the wall earlier and forced to head to the pits. And then this now, as we say, thanks as always to the AMR safety team, always swiftly on the spot to help the drivers.
NASCAR has confirmed no free pass. So the 43 was the car scored. The first car scored one lap down at the time of yellow because he was the yellow. You don't just give it to the next car back.
Right,
that means there's no free pass. It sounds small, but if you're the 5 of Larson, you're thinking, man, that would be
Come on, yeah.
so close. Because I think the 5, while he didn't have great speed, it was better. Now, it might be being masked by the newer tires if you're at an aero deficit, but he seemed a little racier back there.
Yeah, and can you now come and work on it again and make the car even better yet?
Well, Cliff Daniels is going to, right?
Yeah, that's really what this team needs. They need a series of cautions. If there's things they can do to make this car better or give them time to continue work on that car. If the race goes green from now, except the next stage break, if it goes green the rest of the time, this team's in trouble. They're going to need cautions to keep trying to make changes.
Well, with 66 to go, I think we're going to see the entire field on pit road when it opens again, just like we did earlier, because this puts everybody in their fuel window. I don't think you can risk staying on the racetrack, you know, obviously the tires will help. I don't think that's the big issue. The big issue is you'd have to pit before the end of the stage. So now that you're in your fuel window, I think pit road will be once again very, very busy. Remember, Bell took 2 tires. We heard the report from Marty. Adam Stevens thought that's what hurt the 20 car and why we saw that big slide. So will other teams heed that concern? You know, put 2, take 4. I think it'd be a little split.
This is similar to stage 1 too, because when did we pit in stage 1? Was 60 to go?
Yeah, exactly.
It was a roundabout.
Exactly. It's like 5 laps longer than the first stage. There's Adam Stevens. Great to see him back at the racetrack. For those who don't know, a few weeks back during the Olympic break, injured both legs, had to have surgery on both knees. He had to stay home for a few weeks. Still can't really bend his legs for the injury he has. Great to have him back. Always fun to talk to in the garage.
Those of our age should not be on diving boards.
I mean, whew. When I knew it was good, I said, "How'd you hurt it?" And he went, "Well, I don't really want to say or talk about it." I said, "What? Because, you know, was it something crazy?" He goes, "No, I was doing something silly with my kids, messing around." And it's great to have Adam back in the race. So much knowledge. You talk a lot about the drivers and their playoffs and how many times have been the playoffs. You and I have discussed that, Lee, and you know, how you kind of react to the pressure. When you look at Adam Stevens' numbers on top of the pit box, the drivers he's worked with, the big races he's won, this guy behind the wheel can do it. There's zero doubt. But I think having that voice in Christopher's head does help, right? I think he does a really good job right there. Like when Christopher slid and lost those spots, he didn't say what happened. He said, "Oh man, that's on me.
Yep.
You're on 2 tires. I could have done a better job from pit road."
Yeah, we talked about what this 5 team would do, Marty. Here they are back working on this car.
Yeah, coming back down pit road here, and you gotta always have a plan. Steve will tell you that. Cliff Daniels had a plan. Here was a radio transmission to Kyle Larson pretty much as soon as that caution came out.
We're going to be doing 2 different pit stops here. The first time we're going to change tires. The next time we're going to come back in and work on the car just a little bit more. We're going to be...
So, Steve, how forward-thinking do you have to be if you're a Cliff Daniels to almost immediately, even when it goes green, have a plan for the next time you get a caution, because this one came pretty quick?
Every lap, you're doing 2 things. You're either evaluating your car versus the competition, or you're asking yourself, what is my next step? If the yellow come out, you know, do I pit? Am I repairing the car? You are always working. These races, I've sat on that pit box for over 300 races, and it is mentally fatiguing. You leave these races, your head hurt. It is like doing the hardest puzzle you've ever done all day long in the loudest arena you've ever sat in, and it just wears on you over time.
Did you love that pressure, though?
You know, I thought it was tough, and then I missed it as soon as it went away.
Here they come, Parker. They're coming your way.
Right, I think we saw a good example of what the 22 team and Joe Logano are struggling with. That car is just fired off speed. He can't seem to get going at the restarts, but it definitely comes to him as the long run happens, Kim.
William Byron, top right of your screen, he said, "I'm good in 1, 2, 3, but a little free off 4. Asked for a little help being better off 4. 4 fresh Goodyear tires, Sunoco fuel." As you see, Denny Hamlin, bottom left. Seems like a little bit of a slow stop. They had trouble on that right rear for Hamlin. Hamlin said tight during the first stage, Marty, but good to fire off this run.
His teammate Christopher Bell coming down, going with right side tires again is the call for Adam Stevens. He said it fired off a little bit too tight, but I feel like it would hang on better. And then Stevens said, "Are you willing to do Superman again?" That's the code for the right side tires. Bell said, "Yes, I have a better idea of how to manage it."
Look at that race off pit road, and the 2-tire change for Kyle Busch vaults him 9 positions up. Eric Jones into the wall. That's why we're under this caution. Lots of pit stops. We'll come back and go racing. back at Kansas. We are really just kind of trying to get going in stage 2. But this most recent caution brought out by Eric Jones leaves us with a couple to talk about after the most recent stops. Take it away, Stevie.
Yeah, 11 of Denny Hamlin now sits outside the top 10 after a slow pit stop. Everything looks normal so far. Denny hits his sign, Jack up, right rear off on time, right rear goes in. There's a little slow on the exchange. Jack drops. This is where they do the right thing. They take the weight off the right side, they jack it up just a little bit, tighten that right rear tire, and around they go. It is so easy to say it's good enough and go out, have a loose right rear. This is how teams have adapted to this car, Jeff. The 20 lost the lead to the 8, though.
Yeah, 2 drivers put 2 tires on, the 20 and the 8. Watch what happens right here. Watch the gas man. They stay and they fill. He has to sit and wait. Kyle Busch came in 10th. Christopher Bell came in 5th. Kyle Busch came out with the lead. Kyle Busch is not full of fuel here.
Now we'll see if does he have enough. You would imagine they think they can make it all the way to the stage, or they would have waited.
Exactly. And I would think the 20 was thinking that everyone else putting 2 on was going to fill.
Yeah, right.
And so they gave up this to the 8, but certainly with more fuel.
Another great aerial shot and this extended aerial coverage today of this Hollywood Casino 400. We say thanks to. It's brought to you by Traveller Whiskey. Could not ask for a more spectacular day to go racing, especially seeing how we're in the postseason. We're in the playoffs for the NASCAR Cup Series. It's a Kansas winner who will lead the field back to green. Let's go, Kyle Busch for Richard Childress Racing. Here we go. Being pushed by Joey Logano, who has looked incredibly racy all day long. The man who started this race from the pole positions on the low side, Christopher Bell. Look at Gibbs. Look at Gibbs up on the fence. That black monster mobile has got some pace. William Byron now. He's going to give Logano a shove.
Christopher Bell up on the boards, getting a big run on corner exit. Oh, that was good look. That was so pretty. He's done a great job of driving. Now underneath the 8.
What a setup, what an execution. And the 20, the Rheem Toyota, is back out in front for now.
Oh, he's not done. Kyle Busch isn't done fighting.
Well, he had a chance until the 22 went down and followed the 20. He's got to push him off into the corner. No, he's going to turn left. Bell could be 3 wide middle if he's not careful.
Look at this, Logano down low. Gibbs getting a front row view of all of this as he watches Logano. Might have been a slight touch there between Logano and Busch. And looming is William Byron, the man who won stage 1. His teammate Alex Bowman's there, and the reigning series champion Ryan Blaney not out of this.
That's fun racing. These restarts are wild. Logano to the bottom.
Can you imagine if Joey Logano can grab the win here today and repeat what he did in Atlanta by confirming his spot in the next round, in the round of 8, by winning straight up?
Yes, I can imagine. I watched this man win every race in the round of 12 one year. Joey Logano knows how to pull it off in the playoffs. And I think some of the performance today is because of that first round win.
Yeah.
You win early. It's not that you don't compete in the next 2, but you get to look for it a little bit. The pressure's off when you go to what was then Watkins Glen and Bristol. Two-time Cup Series champions here on track together. Busch up high, Logano down low, and Christopher Bell keen to make amends for missing out on what could have been maximum stage points in stage 1 with that issue that put him into the fence. Bowman around his teammate.
Great battle between those 2 drivers. Bowman finally just put it on the outside of him.
I asked him yesterday in the hauler, I said, how have you performed so well in these playoffs when not that long ago you were being questioned by every member of the media about your position and you know, would you still be at Hendrick Motorsports next year? And he said, I know what I'm capable of. I was able just to shut out the noise and get on with it, and it feels good.
Yeah, I had a conversation with Alex Bowman, a brief one. I've been in that situation where people are questioning your job. Are you going to be there next year? And I reminded him about what got him here. And that's his ability to drive a race car. And just go be you. Just go do your thing. We watch him race all the time, Steve, and I just feel like he's an underappreciated race car driver.
His style. He just hangs around, continues to be around, and when the opportunity opens right there, contact in the wall in front of him. I think that was the 8 of Kyle Busch into the fence.
Gibbs pounces, so too does Byron. And unfortunately, Bowman was in the wrong spot at the wrong time. He had to lift.
Yeah, Bowman was running the top right behind the 8, and just not a lot of option to get by him as the 8 tries to get the momentum going in the right direction, but pretty significant contact for the 8 car.
It's just a second, 1 second between Christopher Bell and Joey Logano. Bell's led more laps here today than in his previous starts here, all together at Kansas.
Watch the 8 car. Kyle Busch right there. He's out of the gas, in trouble. Alex Bowman, that was big contact. You wonder if that how much damage that did. Alex saw it. He was out of the gas. Just couldn't slow down quick enough.
Yeah, you see the fire out the pipes, completely out of the gas. Nearly 200 miles an hour. You know, you just can't, you're not driving through your city streets. You can't stop on a dime. I don't see any huge damage. I'm kind of looking at the nose of the 48 with that crazy Ally paint scheme. It's a good-looking paint scheme, but I have a hard time telling. Now, the team will get instant, high-resolution still images. All the manufacturers have photographers all the way around the racetrack. They will take many, many, many shots of this 48 car, and they will instantly be downloaded to the 48 pit box. The engineers, the crew chief, even the war room back at Hendrick Motorsports will take a look. Let's see, I don't really see anything. A little line through the upper Chevrolet.
It's nothing jumping out, is it?
Yeah, no, nothing too serious. Your big concern is if it bent anything or broke any of the ductwork loose, it might not cool very well. But overall, I think it looks pretty good.
Think about this, the 4 Hendrick Chevrolets that are in these playoffs. Kyle Larson, the #1 seed, went into the wall. He had a rear tire issue, and he's a lap down and still trying to dig his way out of that. Chase Elliott had to have an engine change yesterday and started from the rear. He's still digging his way through the field. Bowman just hit Busch, and so it's William Byron who was the squeaky clean one from the Hendrick quartet. Here's Kim.
And Denny Hamlin running in the 15th position after that slow stop. The driver frustrated being stuck in traffic. Listen.
I cannot lose track position, please. Yeah, understood. Focus on making it up, not on what happened. Let's go.
So you heard crew chief Chris Kabar get a little chirpy. I talked to him about this morning. I said, we don't really hear you get intense that often. And he told me he reserves moments of intensity only when needed. He said, if I use it sparingly, it has a bigger impact on my driver, Denny Hamlin.
Denny's currently in 14th. He's on the way back, but he's still got work to do. 3 wins this year for this man who is still in search of his maiden NASCAR Cup Series championship. He's been driving for Coach Gibbs for 20 seasons now. Can this be the one? A reminder to download the official app of NASCAR and follow the action with free live scoring, in-car cameras, and radio broadcasts. And you can upgrade to Premium for full access to driver audio channels and completely ad-free experience. Search NASCAR in your app store to download and start a free trial. Riding aboard the 31, Daniel Hemrick, the South Point machine. We want to remind you about the Xfinity fastest lap as we take a look at it, and guess who it belongs to? This man right here, Christopher Bell, started from the pole. Third consecutive pole position here at Kansas Speedway, and he's led 89 laps today. And he's grown his lead a little bit, Jeff, just ever so slightly to 1.3 seconds over Joey Logano. So a little further back, we find Martin Truex Jr. He runs in 7th at the moment, Marty.
Yeah, Diff, you're talking about one of the young drivers in Christopher Bell at Joe Gibbs Racing. Let's talk to the most veteran driver in Martin Truex Jr. I tell you what, they've had speed today. They have come all the way from the back, started 19th, raced his way into the top 10. He told me a couple weeks ago, Parker, to be honest, I want to win so bad in my final year. I haven't been able to do it, and sometimes I'm trying too hard. I'm pushing too much, but today a very well executed race and a lot of speed in the 19.
And Marty, another driver who wants to win very badly is the driver of that 8 is he's pretty loose off the corner there. He was actually very loose before that last pit stop on the edge of the corners. They took 2 tires. It has not gotten any better. You've seen that 8 be very sideways at the late exit of the corner tonight. Everyone's been asking, where's RCR? Where's the speed? Because Kyle Busch has the speed in these race cars to win races. I asked him about that today, and he said, you know, the frustrating part is when the cars drive well, they just don't have the potential. They don't have the speed that we'd expect when they are driving well. And right now, settling in inside the top 10 on those 2 tires. Behind him, Brad Keselowski in that 6th, up to 11th from a 26th starting position. That team had a lot of confidence that qualifying was just not indicative of the speed they had, and we've seen that he got there on pure pace driving to the field. He's got a lot of speed in that 6th, Kim.
Yeah, and his teammate Chris Buescher in the 15th position after starting 25th. We talked so much about that crazy close finish at the beginning of our broadcast. On the losing side of that was Chris Buescher by mere inches. I was in the pit stall for that race of Chris Buescher. I watched the elation when they thought they won, to understanding that it was the 5 that got the win, the pure heartbreak seeing the faces of that team. And I asked them coming into this race, what can we expect? And they said, it's going to be a battle out here today because the playoff guys have elevated their game. And remember, that finish in the spring was Chris Buescher's only top 5 finish on a 1.5-mile track, so they knew it was going to be a war out here today. Chris complaining the front end wasn't very good to start, the loose rear on the long run for the first half of the race. They made some chassis adjustments, and now he's worked his way up to the 14th position.
The Watkins Glen winner continues to go forward, just like his teammate and co-owner Brad Keselowski here, driving door to door with Denny Hamlin. Now, while these guys, we're talking about progress, Steve, there are 4 playoff drivers 22nd or worse, and heading that group is Tyler Reddick. He started 4th, he's 22nd. What's going on with the 45?
It's been a battle day on pit road for the 45. He definitely has not had the pace we expected on the racetrack, and the pit stops haven't really helped him out, right? If you go forward 2 or 3 spots, it can kind of bail you out, but it seems like Marty, this 45 car, lose a couple spots on both pit stops.
Yeah, I think, Steve, considering how good they have been here in the past, being the defending winner of this race and also having won last time this tire was run at Michigan a couple of weeks ago in really dominating fashion, everybody expected them to be much quicker. But, Jeff, I go back to that radio Billy Scott said earlier saying, hey, I want you to get back to the gas sooner. We're really getting killed on the front stretch speed-wise. Tyler Reddick told him, right there you see it, he said, I'm so loose off the corner, if I get back to the gas as early as you want me to, simply put, I'm going to wreck.
Well, and that's all you can do as a driver. You have to maximize the potential of the car. If you try to go over, then you're going to get in the wall. And look, his teammate Bubba Wallace is running 28, so neither one of those cars is running very well today.
35 laps to go in stage 2. And as was the case in the opening stage, Christopher Bell dominating.
Yeah, but let's not forget just how quick it went away for Bell when he had that loose moment. Another 2 playoff drivers that are trying to manage this day. Suarez in 23rd, Briscoe in 24th.
Yeah, they are right behind. They're right behind Reddick. And These cars are about 0.4 of a second, almost a half a second off of what Christopher Bell is running. A big struggle back here.
You know what? I think for Chase Briscoe, if he looks at this first race in the round of 12, he's going to say, I started the playoffs last, coming out of Atlanta last. At least if I get some points today, even though I'm last, you know, as you saw previously on your screen, he's last in the playoff points. Even if I get some points today, I'm in a better position than what I was where I started the playoffs. So we'll see. There's the updated points on your screen right now. He is the 12th and last driver.
I like your optimism.
Well, you got to look at it that way. I mean, he was the one who spoke optimistically. He said the next 2 tracks, I'm feeling good about it. We're going to go and do it, and he did. He drove his way into the round of 12.
Well, the next 2 tracks in this round are 2 very difficult ones, as it was in the last round. These Hendrick guys continue to battle, but Talladega and the Roval up next, and no telling what can happen at those tracks.
The view back, with thanks to Ally on board. Alex Bowman's Chevy looking back at his teammate William Byron. So after that contact with Kyle Busch earlier, off turn 2, he's steadied, now he's rallied, and now he's going forward again. So he's got back past his teammate. He's got Ryan Blaney just up the road a little bit, and here are the 2 Team Penske teammates. Joey Logano in the 22, the 12, Ryan Blaney. These 2 had a great race at the end of stage 1, and now let's do it all over again with 31 to go in stage 2.
31 laps to go in stage 2, and the 5 of Larson hoping for a yellow in the free pass position. Christopher Bell continues to lead, but up about a half a straightaway is the 15 of Kaz Gralla. The 5 of Larson holding off Ty Dillon. But on the right side of your screen, you see the leader, and on the left, you see Kaz Gralla, kind of the next car up the road, the 43 of Jones, who's already a few laps down, then in front of him, Kaz Gralla. So Larson wants this yellow before other cars go 1 lap down.
It's kind of like this strange repetition of what happened. Like, think about Atlanta, he crashed out. We've already shown you that. Then he had issues at Watkins Glen. And then last weekend in Bristol was his only incident-free playoffs race. Here we go again. We start the round of 12 as Blaney puts it on the inside of Logano.
Now Blaney's going to enter low and slide up in front. Can the 22 turn back to the left? He can't. Clean pass by the 12.
Now I want to see what Blaney has. I want to see in clean air Christopher Bell only a half a second in front of him. Can Blaney go get him?
Oh, I believe so. And I've been looking at the lap times as he's been running down Logano. I do believe the 12 has the best car at the moment.
The way that he finished stage 1, what did he lose on that stop? He went down like some 7 positions or something and just raced his way back through the field. It was awesome. He said, we've never really been great here. We've just been okay. Well, better than okay are the 4-time Super Bowl winners, the Kansas City Chiefs. The Royals, by the way, they're headed to the postseason. They won 85 games this year. And the collegiate teams, the Jayhawks and the Wildcats, they've been going well too. 23 laps remain in this second stage of the Hollywood Casino 400 here at Kansas Speedway, and we've got a new race leader. Just so happens to be the reigning series champion, Ryan Blaney. This is how he got it done. And while that replay runs, we've got a caution on the racetrack.
Daniel Hemrick had gotten slow in the middle of 1 and 2. Was running in 20th place. Got really slow in the middle, almost like he had a tire down or something. Oh, got really loose, hits the wall. Tries to get going again. Now he's on the bottom of the racetrack with damage.
So I'm guessing at this point, the toe link or something, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and remember, he announced that he is not returning to this ride next year. Not sure what his plans are.
Just a lazy spin right here. Luckily, nobody was running the bottom as he slid on top, back up on the racetrack.
Listen to this.
Well, that was a bad break for them, but a good break for Kyle Larson.
Back in the lead lap for the 5 car.
So to follow up on Jeff's point, Daniel Hemrick, unsure of his plans for 2025. We do know that Ty Dillon will be back full-time in Cup, so the Dillon brothers back together at the highest level in NASCAR competition. We'll wait and see what happens to this man. Where will he be? Where will he land for the new racing season?
And with 20 laps to go in the stage, when pit road is open, this is those moments that the pit crew can score you points. If you can have a great pit stop, come out inside the top 6, 8, 10 positions. So can we see a bounce back from Hamlin, who has recovered? He's driven back up to the 8th position, or maybe Reddick's team back there in 17th. Can they gain some spots for their driver, Parker?
And for Joe Logano, the strength of that car has been the long run, but on that run, for whatever reason, it sort of stalled out in the 3rd position. They're going to do 4 Goodyear tires and Sunoco fuel for him. For his teammate Ryan Blaney, the top right of your screen, he took the lead there, and he said it was just getting a little bit too loose as that run ran. They're going to make some adjustments to that, Kim.
William Byron, bottom left of your screen. He was good the first half of the race. He said he sucked this run. Free center, front grip not there. Couldn't get it pointed off the turn. Changes for William Byron, Marty.
Adam Stevens thinks it's going to be a 17-lap run to the end of this stage. Chris Lavelle going with 4 fresh Goodyear tires, and the number 3 ranked pit crew delivers. They gain over the other ones who took 4 tires there, but you see 2 tires for Zane Smith on that pit stop.
It was a good stop too by Ricky Stenhouse Jr. in the JTG Doherty car. This is the cause of the most recent caution. Unfortunately, Daniel Hemrick contact with the wall, and then at turn 2 spun down on the apron. A reminder to join NASCAR's free rewards program and start earning points that turn into member-only rewards. And you can earn every time you check in for a race. Trade points in for free tickets, exclusive gear, autographed merchandise, and one-of-a-kind race day experiences. That's at NASCAR.com/fan rewards. Kim Kuhn, what's happening?
Yeah, Denny Hamlin back on pit road. He called up to the crew and said, "Is everything tight?" And crew chief Chris Cavehart said, "We're not sure, we're checking." He asked Hamlin, "Are you asking us because the stop was so fast or you're feeling something?" Denny said he felt slop in the rear. They checked with the crew, and Cavehart said there's some concern and doubt down here, so bring it to us if you need to. So a loose wheel, not a lot tight on Denny Hamlin's machine.
Second time, remember earlier they had to jack the right side up a second time to tighten the left, or the, excuse me, the right rear. Now on the left side, obviously some concern. They had to come back down. He was running inside the top 10, right, Jeff?
6th. He was running, he came off pit road in 6th, so that was an opportunity to earn some stage points. Watch the 45. Tyler Reddick's got to go around Todd Gilliland. Ends up with his car pointed directly to the wall. It's very difficult to get around when a guy is behind you, but overall, I think this worked out okay.
Great job by the crew, too. You know how far that rear tire changer has to run out there in traffic? Ends up beating the 38, so I don't know if that helps Denny Hamlin, but the car he owned had a good pit stop.
Getting ready to go back to racing, and we're going to go inside the world of Joey Logano. Let's have a listen.
Slow 1, go. Rolling good, push to you now, on you. Gap half behind, room in front, half behind, half behind, half behind, being shoved towards you, half in line, higher, half higher. Bowman's shooting middle by 1, middle's closer, half inside. Inside, top of 3, keep Truex for a push. 2 wide, 2 wide, 2 wide, 2 wide, 2 wide. 2 wide, still there, still inside, 1 inside, 1 inside, 1.
Big issue here, Justin Haley, John Hunter Nemechek.
Looks very similar to the first wreck of the day.
Sure does.
Stack up off turn 2, and these two cars got spit out of line. We can see the racing at the front. We'll have to go back and take a look at what happens. This will be a break for someone who should get the free pass. NASCAR will tell us exactly who. It's between, I think, Harrison and Hemrick, or Hemrick's a couple down, so it should be Harrison. Let's see what happens here. Top of the screen, 3 wide. That yellow roof in the middle, all the way back. Man.
Whoa.
So I don't know what exactly happened there. Something seems completely amiss for the 7 to just turn dead left on the 42.
Yeah, that was right in front of Kyle Larson, but watch the 7 car right here. Just hangs the left. I'm not so sure that, I mean, look at the 42, how high up in the air he got. I wonder if there's a mechanical issue or something.
I can't wait to hear what Justin Haley has to say. Remember, that's Haley behind the wheel, first week in the 7 for Spire. I mean, I can't tell if the left rear is flat, like before it turns left, something happens.
Something. Watch behind the 7 car. Does something, see right there?
Yeah, it's like
something
a
comes off
or something.
I don't know if that's.
And then if he goes nice and slow, I mean,
nobody's coming down.
There's no contact, no contact, no contact. And that right there, I mean, he's turning left. The poor 42, John Hunter has no idea what's happened.
Yeah, something happened. Justin Haley's not the kind of driver just to turn left like that.
There's either some complete miscommunication between spotter and driver or a mechanical issue. NASCAR has confirmed it's 21 of Harrison Burton for the free pass. So
that is a new spotter for Justin Haley. Stephen Parsons, who was spotting for the 7 car, has been spotting for him most recently. Stephen is a race car driver, turning into a spotter. Was spotting for LaJoie, but he stayed on this car when Haley came. But Stephen is a good spotter and a good race car driver. There's no way he just called him clear there.
Yeah, that's an odd one for sure. We're going to have to get some more. What would Paul Harvey say? We've got to get the rest of the story on this one, Diff.
So the Spire Motorsports team will check out the Gainbridge number 7 in what was a bizarre incident to bring us under caution yet again. Let's talk more about the ongoing Kyle Larson story with Marty Snyder. Marty?
Ongoing diff is a very good phrase for the caution before this. Cliff Daniels took the opportunity for the 8th pit stop of the day for Kyle Larson to get him fixed up. I asked him, is there a percentage of where the car is? 100%, 90, 80. He said, really hard to say, but I know this. Every stop, we're getting it much closer in the window. And when they were down a lap, Jeff, he looked me right in the eye and he said, if we get back on the lead lap, which they now have, we will finish top 15, you mark my word. So still some confidence in the 5 camp. This day is not over, and a top 15 finish is not out the window.
There's no quit in this team, and he's done a great job of managing this situation, Steve. Getting every opportunity to work on it. He's taken it, he's been efficient, and made good changes.
Just got to keep improving, right? Continue. The crew chief, check this view out.
Oh. John Hunter Nemechek, wrong place, wrong time. Front end of that car got airborne. Crazy. Hey, race fans, a reminder, when in Las Vegas, you can stay where the racers stay at the South Point Hotel, Casino and Spa. Your ultimate pit stop on the Las Vegas Strip. South Point, everything you want, all under the one roof.
Dissecting the radio on the 7, kind of going through and reading the radio transcript, it seems like Justin Haley apologized to his team. Stephen Parsons, Jeff, you pointed out, first race together, was calling this inside and out, inside and out. And Haley said, I just didn't process that as 3 wide middle. So
he thought he was
going
clear.
Left. So this big swerve is to go 4 wide on the run in front. He apologized and said, just in the future, 3 wide middle. You didn't do anything wrong. It's just different terminology, Jeff, for the new spotter.
Different verbiage. They have to learn each other.
Let's go back to Coleman Presley at Team Penske and have a listen. Take 2. Let's give him the full run.
Behind, on. Inline, lower defending by half. 1 outside, outside Blaney. Just Blaney, still there. 2 outside, middle's open by 1 behind Blaney. Middle's cleared, all clear. You'll be just the 54 here. Just the 54, door, still there. 1 back, lane higher, half back, outside, bottom of 3, bottom 3, 2 outside. 2 back to Hocevar, your lane. You're clear by 1 to the mid. 1 mid, 3/4 up, half up, outside Ross, outside tight. 1 back mid lane behind, still there. Still outside Ross only. 2 back to 3 wide behind. Top's coming quicker by 1, he's clear. 3/4, half dropping, keep 77 still there. Lane higher 1. Ross outside.
So you want to know how Justin Haley didn't exactly know the terminology is because that's what it sounds like on every radio. So if you're not talking the same language, you can't process it. Eventually, when I was crew chief for Dale Jr. here in TJ Majors, I could not watch the TV. I could listen to the spotter and visualize everywhere where we were in traffic. But for that, Jeff, can you imagine if that's the first time you heard Coleman Presley? It would be a lot to take in.
Well, that's right. And that, you know, a lot of short words, clear mid, that kind of stuff. That means something to the 22. That is a combination they've been working on for years, and they know exactly what they're talking about. But you got to get that information in quick. You can't wait. Chase Elliott underneath Joey Logano.
Continuing his climb through the field from starting last. If you're just joining us, Chase Elliott had an engine change yesterday. Qualifying, they tried, but it just wasn't there. Contact with Chastain down the backstretch, heading to 3. So starting last and just carefully, methodically, he's got his way up, but the 2, Austin Cindric, one of the playoff drivers, in trouble.
Both right side tires are flat. Running in 13th place. First stage, he got stage points, finished 7th.
And remember, then they had a little bit of struggle. They had to pit a second time, lost that track position. We haven't really seen them since then. That's what we talk about when we talk about mistakes and trying to limit them. Let's see what happens.
There he is on the inside of Kyle Busch.
Oh,
just breaks loose.
And contact here. Let's see some damage on the right front. That was contact.
Yeah, it was odd. I couldn't tell if
right there.
Oh, yeah.
We're almost at the end of stage 2.
Riding along with Chase Elliott.
That's that contact with Chastain. The incident happened behind those guys.
Yeah, let's see if the 8 comes off the wall. I don't understand when, you know, Cindric, to me, I was looking at the top of the screen. I'm sure there's more to it, but let's watch the 8 relative to the wall and the 2 relative to the 8.
Yeah, the 2 goes right. That's very odd. I don't know if he's trying to get to his left rear quarter panel to side draft him to pull him back and just misjudges it.
Did they connect and then that right rear go down and then that's what snapped him?
I think it's just bangs the right front, and once the front of the car turns left, it starts to spin out.
And watch as it comes around. It grazes the wall here. Right there, it hits the wall. So how much damage did that do?
Well, you see right there the color from the wall, a little bit of damage to the splitter. I can't tell if the splitter's up or just miscolored. No, right there, it looks like it's up on the right front.
Yeah, it's definitely up. And you know, what a great first 3 races of these playoffs for this team. This is really the first bit of real adversity they've had.
Back-to-back 10ths in the first 2 playoff races, 13th last weekend in Bristol, and then now some adversity. Woo.
This is an interesting spot because, as you pointed out, Diff, we're 7 laps. Pit road will open this time, 6 laps to go to the end of the stage. So if you're in position to score stage points, I think you want to stay on the racetrack. But I'll just put it out there. You take somebody like Hamlin is in 20th, or Suarez in 16th, Reddick in 14th. I think there's an argument that said you could pit right here and then not pit at the end of the stage.
Yeah.
And you're not adding a pit stop because you still have to pit in the final stage, so it kind of splits the strategy a different way. And so I believe there's going to be a plan. Look at how organized the back half of the field is. I think there's going to be some takers on pit road, and there are. This will split the field.
Zane Smith, remember he made that 2-tire stop last time round. Truex, Chastain, they're coming your way, Parker.
Right, and Joe Logano was dropping like a rock on that restart, so they like to come down here and put these 4 Goodyear tires on the 22 to see if they can flip this stage, Marty.
Tyler Reddick coming down pit road as well. They've finally gotten that loose condition out of the car. The front stretch speed they've been talking about all day long is much better for Reddick. But Billy Scott, to Steve's point a moment ago, needs track position at this point. So they pit from outside the top 10. They will not pit at the end of the stage. Same for Daniel Suarez and his race team. He said, we've made it better, but we still have a long way to go with the 99 handling wise.
We're racking up the cautions, including the stage break for stage 1. We're up to 7 now. This is the most recent one. Austin Cindric, the Menards Ford for Team Penske.
Joey Logano just had to come down to pit lane once again because they had a loose left rear wheel. Also, we saw him losing positions on the restart. Take a listen to the radio.
How in the hell is this thing so slow? God bless, man. This thing. I hit the gas, I go nowhere.
They just not have had the speed. We'll see if this can help them out.
Just when the day was looking so good for Team Penske, two of the three drivers have had some adversity. Cindric and Logano. Let's get back to it. Final 4 laps of stage 2, and Christopher Bell, who's led 121 laps here today, fights with Alex Bowman at the front of this field. Who's going to get those stage points? Kyle Larson's racing hard to try and grab some. He's back in 15. Cliff Daniels said they'll get a top 15 if they can get back on the lead lap. Look at the scrambling going on mid-pack.
Oh, the 20 of Bell way up the racetrack. Looks like there may even be a little damage on the right rear of that car.
Oh, and Elliott goes, almost got into the back of him and had to go to that high line.
Bell went from the front row. He will not even finish in the top 10. Let's see what happened. Yes, up into the wall, just loses momentum.
At the end of stage 1, Christopher Bell into the wall after dominating. At the end of stage 2, Christopher Bell in the wall after dominating. What's happening at the 20 team?
And look at the players that are trying to get points. Chase Elliott in the mix. Briscoe. Elliott starts shotgun on the field, misses out on stage 1, battling that red 14 to his outside. That would be for the 7th position.
2 to go. This is awesome. Racing to the end of stage 2. Who's going to get the points? Which playoff drivers are going to get the stage points? Alex Bowman continues his amazing playoffs run. And look at this resilient effort from the 14 of Chase Briscoe. Briscoe's in 8th.
Lot of speed coming from behind Briscoe, though. I don't know if he's going to be able to keep him from behind him to get stage points.
Here comes Hamlin. Final lap of stage 2.
And on the top, you said it. What a playoff for the 48 of Bowman. Can he finish this off, win the stage in front of a hard-charging Ty Gibbs?
3 wide. Chastain in the middle. Hamlin up on the fence. Reddick on the inside. Look at Ty Gibbs in the top box. He's trying to go for the stage win. Not close enough. Alex Bowman continues to impress in these 2024 playoffs. His first stage win of 2024.
And I think it was Hamlin. We'll have to see how it's scored. No, they're going to say Briscoe in 10th.
Well done, Alex Bowman. The 48 scores maximum points. The Chicago Street Race winner. That's what got him into these playoffs. Rumors swirling that he was going to lose this ride. Well, he's proving everybody wrong by the way he's driving in these playoffs. How's your favorite driver looking here today at Kansas? Did they score stage points at the conclusion of the second? Well, maximum points goes to Alex Bowman. Ty Gibbs chased him home, non-playoff driver. That was pretty close at the end. Ryan Blaney continues to have an amazing day. He hasn't had a top 5 here since 2017, so this is shaping up really well for the reigning series champ. And William Byron, the stage 1 winner, he remains in the forefront, in the top 5. Pit road is open. Ty Gibbs decides at the last minute he's going to stay back out on track, and the rest are coming your way. Parker, kick it off.
Yeah, and what a big win for Alex Bowman in that stage of the 48 car. He was very happy. The handling of that race car was showing a lot of speed on the long run. 4 Goodyear tires for him. On the right side of your screen, Ryan Blaney got 3rd in that stage and scored the 2nd most stage points in this race, and he wanted to make some adjustments because they know they're going to be further back in the pack, Kim.
Yeah, bottom right, William Byron has scored the most stage points today. He said he still needs help on exit. Once the car feel he had at the beginning of the race.
16th at the end of stage 2. He said, sorry for driving it into the wall. Adam Stevens asked, yeah, what happened there? And his quote was, I was aero blocked all the way into the wall. He's worried he hurt the right front, but the steering still straight on the 20. We'll now see if he can recover from the 2nd wall contact today for Christopher Bell.
Yeah, pretty crazy stuff after leading so many laps in that 2nd stage. He came across the line in 16th. So let's have a look at the state of play as far as the stage points earned today. And look at William Byron, 17, 16 for Blaney. Bowman with 12. Ty Gibbs may not be in the playoffs, but he's racing well today, earning plenty of points.
Bowman's still perfect in the playoffs, has not missed points in any of the stages. Now 8 for 8 in 4 races. The repairs continue for Larson. They stayed out to try to get some stage points and really just sunk as soon as they went down to turn 1. I think that was a real test of what kind of grip Kyle Larson had behind the wheel, and it wasn't enough to compete.
I think this is pit stop. I think this is double digits.
I think so, yes.
I think this is number 10 now for the 5 of Kyle Larson. Now, as they head back out on the track, I know that you've all seen it. It's been national and international news and headlines about Hurricane Helene. And if you would like to help those affected by Helene, you can go to redcross.org or text Helene to 90999. Everybody in Florida, in the Carolinas, in Georgia, Eastern Tennessee, it's just been horrible. The images and the impact, so many lives, Marty, have been affected. So again, folks, if you are in a position to help, redcross.org or text Helene to 90999.
And Lee, so many people helping in so many different ways. And I want to introduce you to Brad Ball, the official actually working in Kyle Larson's pit stall today. He is a retired police officer in Newport, Tennessee. And he told me yesterday, when I get back home, I'm going to go back to work for the police force, and I'm going to work as long as it takes to recover everyone that I can and help everyone get past this. This is Newport, Tennessee, where the dam broke on Friday. I mean, downtown just completely flooded. Brad and his family are fine. And I said, how long are you willing to do this between your job here at the track and what you'll do volunteering back at home? He said, as long as it takes. I need to get my community back up and running. So yes, you can give a donation to the Red Cross, but you can also help out in so many different ways, Lee.
And there's going to be so many examples like that of people just going above and beyond to help those in need, and there are so many in need. And for those of you affected, we're thinking of you in the aftermath of Hurricane Helene. Here in Kansas, it has been an eventful day for the #1 seed. You're looking at the HendrickCars.com Chevy of Kyle Larson. Couldn't be in more stark contrast to a week ago in Bristol when he dominated the race, almost led the entire race, Marty. But today, it has been double-digit visits to pit lane.
Yes, Lee, I can confirm your count. 10 pit stops now for Kyle Larson and Cliff Daniels, who had a long conversation before this latest set of repairs. Listen.
I don't know. I just don't have speed, so I'm in the way, and it's scary.
I'm trying to understand what is making us feel as bad as what you're feeling. Outer body is okay. The diffuser, yes, we have less diffuser. We've lowered the back of the car a lot. I don't understand why we have to get out of the way.
I have no speed, Cliff. Like, I don't know if you can see, but I'm so draggy.
Yes, Steve, so they have tried and tried and tried to get this 5 car back to the condition that they feel like it could be to finish top 15, but clearly they have some work to do, not only on top of the pit box, in the pit stall, but Kyle Larson behind the wheel as well.
And some of the data that these teams don't have is what does a damaged diffuser feel like, and the drivers I talk to say it takes so much grip out of it, and so many times I hear that conversation from a crew chief, I don't understand why we're so slow. And the fact is the car just does not make enough grip.
It's a mixed bag of those who came to pit road and those who didn't. There's a lot of playoff drivers in the back half of this field. Let's go, stage 3, 96 to go here in Kansas. And it's Carson Hocevar who leads the Rookie of the Year points, leads this field back to green. Gibbs is on his outside. Here comes Kyle Busch, Martin Truex Jr., and the all-orange machine, car 1 of Ross Chastain in the middle. Hocevar has happy memories of this track from his truck days. And Jeff, to your point earlier of having fun, he said, I love to get up by the fence and just keep it wide open.
Yeah, well, this isn't fun back here for these guys. Most of those have been used to being up front all day. Now they're back here in the pack with this different pit sequence. Brad Kane with a big move.
You heard that radio from the 22 of Joey Logano. He was frustrated. He was dropping back, as Parker documented earlier. Here's Christopher Bell, the man who's led 121 laps today. But no stage points in stage 2.
Bottom of 3, back to 1 outside. It's clear right there if you want it. Clear, clear.
And you know as a driver who you're racing, you know all those guys are playoff guys. Got to find a way by them.
Hamlin trying to push his way through here. He's on the way back again. He was denied some stage points in that second stage, narrowly missing out to Chase Briscoe, who was able to grab that final stage point. Here's Chastain and Busch.
Oh, Chastain just took that spot from Kyle Busch. Drove in the corner, used all of the racetrack, gave Kyle no choice but to lift.
And you've got to applaud the one team from Trackhouse. Ross Chastain and his crew have done an amazing job. They know they're not in the playoffs. Doesn't matter. He's been having an amazing run of results of late. William Byron grabs a couple of positions. His teammate Alex Bowman going with him. Here come the playoff drivers. They're starting to make progress. William Byron restarted 21st. He's up to 9th.
And he leads all the guys that stopped that last pit stop. So he's done a better job of getting through the traffic as Alex Bowman has.
Oh, you hear the throttle.
No run coming out, back views.
That was the onboard, the Coca-Cola onboard of Suarez, who's running 12th. This is for the lead of the race. Carson Hocevar will not be able to hold off that Trackhouse #1 of Ross Chastain.
Chastain not in the playoffs, but knows how to win races when he isn't. Remember, he won the championship race a year ago, was not part of the championship 4. Rarely do we see that. And here he is leading Hocevar, Busch, Gibbs, Truex.
And it's got to be such an odd feeling. I mean, 2 years ago, Chastain went to the championship 4. Finished runner-up in the Cup Series in 2022. But to be on the outside looking in, your focus can just be one thing. Let's go for victories.
And the balance between playoff and non-playoff always in question when we get to these races. Will Tyler Reddick ride on board? A big run down the backstretch, turns to the bottom. And look at this big block by Kyle Busch. The 45 has to get completely out of the gas, sliding up the racetrack, loses all the grip, loses another position right there to the 19 of Truex. That could be a +2 or 3 swing with one block from the 8.
Reddick runs in 6th at the moment. But here's got William Byron who was one of those ones who pitted on lap 168 and is storming his way through the field. There's William. 21st to 7th since the restart. How about that?
Yeah, he's done a nice job of being aggressive, but not overly aggressive. Never put himself in a situation where he was close to getting wrecked. Restarts are so important.
Well, let's have a look. Not only William Byron, but let's have a look at other drivers on the move. Brought to you by Ashley Furniture since the most recent restart to begin stage 3. Hamlin up 12, Bowman up 10. As Kyle Busch works on Carson Hocevar for 2nd place.
That was a good-looking corner for the 8. A lot of momentum from that top. That's where I think Carson Hocevar is improving. There were times further back in the pack that I think he would overblock, right? A run's coming. We still have 86 to go in the race, and he would make a move right or then left and be 2 or 3 moves. Where there, he could tell the 8 was coming. He made a little bit of a defensive move, allowed the 8 to go by, and got right back in line. He seems to be driving with a little more maturity and maybe a little more confidence that, hey, the cars are better. I don't have to drive quite as hard as this 3-wide squeeze here.
Let's go for a ride with Christopher Bell. Austin Dillon up ahead.
1 back. Back to 2. All clear. Clear by 2.
He sees the 3 on the bottom, so he's going to go to the outside. He hopes the 6 runs the middle. That gives him clean air on the top.
At very bottom now. Inside.
No
Blaney
such
not
luck.
waiting.
Yeah. Now Blaney's going to think 3-wide bottom on this 3 right here. You see him still want to keep. Oh, Dillon saw it coming the whole front stretch and just never opened up his corner entry. The 12 doesn't care. He still runs the white line.
Look at this run the 20 has. They're side by side. They're going to get slow. What is he going to do with it? He's going to try to push the 3.
Outside. Still there.
This is where this car races differently. You see the hood flaps come up on Blaney's car. There was so little air with the 20 to the outside. The Xfinity car, the old style car, that 12 would have been loose. Couldn't be able to stay in the gas. The way this car races, you can run side by side.
Saw that a bunch yesterday. Lots of cars getting taily. William Byron, the first on the most recent strategy and the alternate strategy, the most recent stoppers on lap 168, and he continues his climb. That's for 5th.
Being chased by Reddick as well. Just 2 cars behind that DraftKings car, the 45 of the yellow spoiler. He'll attack Ty Gibbs, the monster car with black or green numbers right up against the fence.
You mentioned Ty Gibbs. Let's talk more about it now with Marty.
Yeah, he has been on the racetrack longer than anyone, Lee. About to be passed by Tyler Reddick here. They last pitted at lap 145 for Ty Gibbs. I just asked Chris Gale, Steve, what their strategy was in doing that, and he told me we can eliminate a stop from the race versus the rest of the field. As long as we don't fall outside of the top 20, our last stop should come at lap 220, and we should be able to make it the rest of the way. So what do you think about that strategy for the 54 staying out when everyone else kind of came to pit road there at the end of stage 2, Steve?
It just depends on how well these Goodyear tires hold on. I love the idea. Everybody has 1 stop left. The 54 might have to pit a little early, but I think he'll draw most to pit road with him, because when he comes to pit road and puts new tires on, he's going to have great pace. The question is, can he run about 15, 18 more laps without falling too far back? I mean, it's hard to believe there's older tires on that car. It actually looks pretty good.
Yeah. 80 to go. Reddick and Bowman.
Reddick, a big lift right there. As a driver, that's not when you want to lift, right? You want to just stay in the throttle, get a little angry when a car pulls up in front of you like that. But Tyler Reddick really understanding how important points are. No need to get into some kind of battle.
I love riding on board with Reddick running the wall. Just listen to how he works the throttle. That's a lot of part throttle. Now what? Where do you go? Who do you push? Pushing the Chevy. Doesn't follow the 54. He's going to push Bowman by. I think he knows the 54 has a little bit less grip in the tires.
No stage points earned today for Reddick. What's happening with the 12? Parker, update us.
Well, potential issue for them, Lee. Ryan came on the radio and asked, are all the wheels tight? Jonathan Hassler came on and said, actually, the left rear wheel is questionable. They're now monitoring it if it's getting worse. He's complaining about that. He also said, why didn't we just come back and tighten it if it was questionable? Remember, they stayed out to get those stage points in stage 2. They had to restart all the way back to the pack. It could have been a potential chance to actually fix it and not have this issue. Now he's just monitoring it as he goes along.
Well, with 77 laps to go, if he can ride it out for just 7 laps, even if he has to pit under green, he'll be inside his fuel window. It'll just be interesting to see if he gets caught by a yellow. But it looks like, I thought he was coming to pit road because he's running the bottom. But
he is coming.
He's finally had enough with 7 to go. 76 to go now in the race. He can no longer ride it out. The 12 of Blaney on pit road, Parker.
And you nailed it there. This does not put them in their fuel window as well, so it's kind of a disastrous situation for the 12. They're going to come down here and change all 4 tires to try and alleviate this loose wheel, but disastrous outcome here in stage 3 for the 12 team to have this loose wheel and this timing. We'll see how it plays out.
That happened to Logano as well. His teammate at Team Penske, he had to come back in for a wheel that wasn't tightened to the optimum level.
And Blaney's going to lose a lap. You lose about 40 seconds on the racetrack, so he'll come back out kind of middle of the pack, a lap down. The battle for the lead is heating up, though.
Yeah, remember teammate Austin Cindric, Penske teammate, he had problems.
It has been an eventful day for the playoff 12. 9 of the 12 have had some kind of an issue here in Kansas today. Meanwhile, terrific scrap going on for the lead. Chastain versus Busch. Trackhouse versus Richard Childress Racing. Denny Hamlin, Carson Hocevar, that was for 6th.
Chastain's doing a great job. Kyle Busch with good speed. Once William Byron got clear of everyone, I thought he would run them down, but he's kind of breaking even with them. Really hasn't been able to make any ground up.
73 laps to go here in Kansas, and Ross Chastain leads the way. Kyle Busch continues to hound Ross Chastain for the lead of this Hollywood Casino 400 at Kansas Speedway. If you are a Kyle Busch fan, you too have been asking the question, when is he going to win again? When will the next victory be? Well, there hasn't been one in some 50 races. That drought could end here today for the two-time Cup Series champion. He got on a good run back in Daytona and Darlington, back-to-back runner-up finishes, followed it up with another top 10. Last two races haven't quite gone to plan, but here he is. He's at the front and challenging. Chastain got a little loose there. Here comes Kyle Busch.
And now he's going to side draft him. He's going to drive straight to the bottom of the middle of the racetrack, try to overdrive the corner, slide up in front. No, he doesn't do it. He gives Chastain the outside.
And I think Chastain's going to use that momentum to drive back around the 8. Still pit stops to come, and with 66 to go, we're inside the window. If you pit right now, you can run to the end on fuel. That'll be the big question for all of these guys. When do you come to pit road? They have 36 laps, between 36 and 40 laps on their tires, depending on the car. So you run about 10 or 12 more to break it up in the middle, or do you try to jump and get to pit road first?
If Kyle Busch gets another run the way he got on the exit of 2, that last opportunity to pass, I think his strategy will be different. It will be to just overdrive the corner and just take that spot. Cannot give Ross Chastain the outside and just let him roll it around you like that.
In front of Chastain is the wounded 2 of Austin Cindric. They're going to catch him down the backstretch. What are they going to do when they get to turn 3?
Well, Cindric's been running the middle of the racetrack. It's kind of very odd for a car with problems to be running right up against the wall or in the middle.
This may just balk Chastain enough for Busch to get a run, and he does.
Cindric does a nice job going down and pulling the 8 back with a side draft. There you go. Look, Chastain knew he was going to try to overdrive it and gassed it up himself.
Yeah, Chastain had forward momentum on him getting into turn 1, so it really wasn't an opportunity for Kyle to try to slide in front of him. It only works with positive momentum. But Kyle's definitely faster. If he could get by Chastain, he would drive away from him. While this has been happening, though, this race has slowed them down a couple tenths of a second. It's allowed Byron to catch them a little bit. The question is, who's going to pit first?
Well, I think they're fortunate that Byron, Bowman, Hamlin, Reddick are all playoff cars, because I think that makes them a little more nervous. Now the 8 is door-to-door with the 1.
Yeah, he's got to take it now. He's got forward momentum on him. That's it.
These two guys both pitted at the same lap last time, but who's going to pit first? How's this going to play out with 63 to go here in Kansas? Here comes Chastain, and Busch is making it difficult for him.
Yeah, but Busch has the line that he wants. So now just drive in the corner with Chastain. You'll be able to overdrive it through the middle of the corner and take the spot.
So for now, I think it's Chastain or Truex will be the first 2 to come to pit road. As I was saying, Byron, Bowman, Hamlin, Reddick, they are all in this points battle for the championship. I don't think they can risk going a lap down. We see now a little further back, Joey Logano comes to pit road, Parker.
Right, and he came on the radio and said, I cannot explain to you how loose I am inside this race car. He said 10 out of 10 loose, so they'll make adjustments there for Joey Logano, one of the first leaders on pit road. I'll see if the other teams have to react now.
Well, he was running 19th, Parker, so I don't think the rest of the leaders care too much about where Joey Logano was at the moment. I think it has to be somebody probably Reddick or above. Inside that 8-second window, you can't give somebody multiple laps. I look at Truex. I'm waiting for James Small to do something to give this 19 a win, and I think this is the moment. He's 2 seconds back. Nothing goes your way, it seems like, luck-wise, and maybe that's why he's gun-shy to pit. But if Truex comes to pit road,
he's going to force their hand.
You either stay out and give me track position or come with me.
There's Martin running all by himself in 3rd. He's got a couple of seconds over William Byron. And he's about 1.4 behind Ross Chastain. The Bass Pro Shops Toyota for Joe Gibbs Racing. He's in the wind-down phase of his full-time career. He will come back, by the way, next February and do the Daytona 500. But mission number 1 here now, Marty, seeing how the playoffs is done for the 19 team, is victory, victory, victory.
perfect driver to give the Toyota driver update with Martin Truex Jr. right now in third and about 70 laps to go. James Small told me we're one adjustment away from being a top 5 car. They played this strategy a little bit here for them to be able to stay out here. They didn't pit when everyone else pitted, so he's in the top 3 right now. Can they get the good pit stop and keep him in the top 5? Here's Ty Gibbs, his teammate, coming down pit road maybe a little bit sooner than they expected, but Steve mentioned it. They are inside the window here, so we'll see, as you mentioned earlier, Steve, does this drag everybody else to pit road?
Question now is, how much fuel load does everybody have on board? I know they can run a while, but how long will their pit stops be? Have you short-filled it all day long? It kind of accumulates, right? A gallon short, Kim.
And here's Chris Buescher. Remember, he was in that close finish in the spring, but today does not have the handling he needs in his car. The front end and rear end just disconnected. It needs more grip. They took 4 fresh Goodyear tires, Sunoco fuel, Marty.
With just a handful of races left in the season, Kim, can Martin Truex Jr. get that first win in his final year of his career? Coming down pit road, James Small said, do you want any changes? He said, I wouldn't mess with it, Parker.
The 48 of Alex Bowman followed those other leaders down to pit road from the 5th place position. He's very happy to handling that car, especially on the long run.
And William Byron taking the opportunity to pit under green. You see him top of your screen in the 24 car. He said, you can tighten me up for sure. Looking for adjustment there, as you also saw Denny Hamlin, Parker.
Kyle Busch, the leader on pit road here, trying to continue that streak, win for 20 straight seasons. Just a bit loose on the exit of the corners, but pretty happy in clean air, Kim.
And Ross Chastain will pit from the 2nd position. He was reporting he fired off tight that run, but got progressively looser, specifically in the corners. They will make an air pressure adjustment on that Chevrolet, as the Chase Elliott machine also on this end of pit road. Chase reporting early in the run he overbuilt right rear tighter, but much better.
Truex down the front stretch, already serviced the 8 of Kyle Busch on the apron in 1 and 2, trying to get the throttle down. So slippery, he has to get over to turn 2. Will he be able to stay in front of that hard-charging 19 of Truex? Truex off the banking. I think Truex will get Chastain, but not the 8. Let's see, with the momentum carrying past Chastain, it should.
Martin goes the high side.
Yeah, Chastain on those new tires, though, he was able to smoke it down into turn 3. Keep Truex from passing him.
Look at the advantage that Busch got on that last stop, or what should be the last stop.
Still to this day, data, youth, all of those things, Kyle Busch is the best. He is the gold standard of green flag cycles on and off pit road. He showed it again, and for that reason, a big gap. Now look on the left. Reddick, Bell, yet to come to pit road. Keselowski, Wallace, we have a little split in the strategy, but the race for the lead of cars that can make it on fuel is the 8 of Kyle Busch, the 1 of Chastain, the 19 of Truex.
From super tight, side by side with Ross Chastain, just an awesome pit stop sequence to put himself well ahead of the 1 and the 19.
So if you say, well, what's Tyler Reddick doing? Well, they're trying to run long right here. They're hoping they will get a yellow. They can then just pit once under green.
Marty, considering that Tyler Reddick at one point in time was 22nd and languishing, the day may just turn around for the 45.
It certainly turned around here in stage 3. The car is handling much better. Tyler Reddick, Steve, just asked the exact question that you posed a moment ago to Billy Scott. When are we pitting? He said about 5 or 6 more laps. So what's the advantage of running long here, not only for Reddick, but also Christopher Bell sitting in 2nd?
So even if they don't get a yellow before they pit, if they come in 5 more laps, we'll call it 10 laps, fresher tires for math, right? Well, then we get a yellow with 15 to go, 20 to go. Maybe they brings right side tires into an option. Maybe they can gamble enough to stay out. They're just looking for different options. You can't just follow the leader and expect a better result than the leader. Everyone you're racing are very good cars. Now for Gralla, Nemechek, Ty Dillon, other cars, they're trying to save a lap. This is about racing laps for those cars.
On old tires, you have to be exact with everything. Newer tires, they give you more grip. You can be way more aggressive on right against the wall. Tyler Reddick can't get any closer. And with these old tires, Diff, it's about slipping the car where you want it to slip. It's about understanding where you need to make pace. When he stops to put new tires on, he'll drive it completely different.
Let's take you back just a couple of moments ago. Daniel Suarez, Joey Logano, two of the playoff drivers.
We've seen that all day long on the exit of 2, where drivers make contact.
A little similar to what happened with Austin Cindric and Kyle Busch, but nowhere near as extreme.
And this battle is heating up. Remember, 7th and 8th, or 6th, 7th, and 8th respectively. Oh, is Chastain a big slide off the corner, but these were the first cars that can make it on fuel. Chastain had run Kyle Busch down and just gave up a whole second on the corner exit of turn 2, now the 45 on pit road, Marty.
Yeah, here he comes finally. Said the car was much better, as we mentioned a moment ago, throughout that run, but it migrated a little bit loose towards the end of the run. And he asked Billy Scott, will this run be similar? He said, I wanted to make it a little bit shorter. 49 to go as he leaves pit road right here. The car handling much better. Meanwhile, Christopher Bell coming down pit road this time as well. He is going to come down right here. And you got to wonder if Adam Stevens would be brave enough to go with just 2 tires. They've done it twice today, but both of those times his driver got into the wall later in the run. I don't think they're going to do that. Bell said the car actually handling better than it has all day long. He said, I'm only 2.5 numbers loose. Earlier, he was about 5 numbers loose. So we'll see what Bell does as you see Kyle Busch flash by the end of pit road here, and he will take the lead once this all cycles out.
Yeah, Bell's going to have to do 4 tires just because they need so much Sunoco fuel. Just so far into a run, you're going to see dump this whole entire can. Needed all 12 gallons out of that first dump can. Let's take a look at this, Jeff.
Yeah, you talked about it. Chastain got really up the racetrack. Nice save right there, just trying to get everything out of his car.
So that gave Kyle Busch a little bit of breathing room, and Kyle leads by just under 1 second over Ross Chastain, trying to get that elusive win. It is on at the front with 42 to go between Kyle Busch and Ross Chastain, car number 1, position number 1.
Kyle Busch had issues off of turn 4. Here it is. He's been struggling. I've been watching him on the exits. He just cannot carry speed. But getting back by Chastain, got really loose right there. That's how Chastain got by him, but then he went right back by Chastain.
You were thinking what I was thinking. Which box do we look at? There's so much happening between these two, between Busch and Chastain.
That's a great problem to have.
It is.
Which great race do we watch?
14 different leaders today. That ties a Kansas track record. It's been awesome. There's been stuff happening whether you're in the playoffs or not. Speaking of playoff drivers, let's put the spotlight on them, and we kick it off with Kim Kuhn.
Yeah, let's start with William Byron running in the 4th position. Great points day for them. They've scored 17 stage points. And Rudy Fugel, the crew chief, told me they have a point number in their mind they needed collectively for this round that gets them way closer to it as they enter Talladega next weekend. They've had a good car for most of the day, just got away from them in the middle of stage 2, but they made adjustments, and it is way better now, Parker.
And it's the same plan for his teammate Alex Bowman. When I talked to his team and his crew chief Blake Harris earlier today, he said we need 40-point days over each of these 3 races in this round, and that should get us to the next side with 12 stage points in this race. And if he potentially finishes in 5th, that would be 44 points. They're on pace, Kim.
And Denny Hamlin running in the 6th position, a rebound after 2 pit road mishaps where they had loose lug nuts on both of those stops. They had a roller coaster of a first round, looking for more consistency. Right now, Denny's saying I need the most help into 1 and then 2 tight in the center, Parker.
And for Ryan Blaney, he scored the 2nd most stage points in this race, and then he was put in the worst position a driver can be in, having to decide if a wheel is loose and to come down pit road in an unscheduled stop. He did that, and they are now 5 laps short as they run in 7th place and being able to get to the end of this race. They're going to need some help here in the yellow, Kim.
And Chase Elliott currently running in the 10th position after starting from the Rio. They have made the most of their day after the weekend started off on the wrong foot yesterday. They had a sour engine, had to change it. They did not let that discourage them. The worst thing they told me they could do is let an engine hiccup derail them mentally. They cannot think of it as ruining their weekend. They were able to score stage points in stage 2, Marty, looking at like a top 10 finish for Chase Elliott.
Kim, what a fight for Tyler Reddick and the race team today. Billy Scott has told him the last several laps, you are the fastest car on the track, and no surprise, ripping the top of the fence here. They can get out of here as much as they struggle with a top 10 today. I think they'd count this as a good day. Same for Daniel Suarez and his race team, who at one point here in stage 3 said, quote, I've got nothing in here. They have struggled with the handling, but right now, Parker, sitting in 12th and in a decent position to get some points today.
And for Joe Logano, currently running in 15th, this day has been the tale of 2 tapes, because at the start of this race, they were super fast. They qualified in the 5th position. They looked great on the long run. He struggled on a couple restarts, fell deep into the pack, and since then, he's just been far too loose in that dirty air, in traffic, just not able to get the handle on that 22 car, Marty.
Parker, no question, Christopher Bell is going to look back at Kansas 2024 and think, what could have been. They have led the most laps still to this point, started on the pole today, but contact with the wall twice for Christopher Bell, and he's going to lose what could have been a very promising day, maybe even a win. Kyle Larson, though, scrapping their way into the top 20 right now. Again, they had that cut tire very early in stage 1. Since then, it's been a fight with multiple stops today, but right now sitting in 19th for Larson, Kim.
And Chase Briscoe currently running in the 26th position. This team knew they had a battle ahead of them. The car was not to Chase's liking yesterday, and this is one of his weakest tracks, but their attitude was great. They said, we have our backs up against the wall. That is a great motivator. No other team in the sport can relate to what we're going through now. He fired off tight, 9 out of 10 tight, in fact, and then has progressively made the car better, but it's bounced between tight and loose throughout the course of this race, Parker.
And for Austin Cindric, back in 34th place, 3 laps down right now after that incident with the 8 down the backstretch. Their splitter is damaged, which is hurting the diffuser. They're about a second off the pace, and things were looking so great for Team Penske in stage 1. They had all 3 cars in the top 10, and now it's looking like they're going to need some help to get one of their cars to finish this race in the top 10.
It's a great point, because look at Logano. He's -1 in the overall picture of the playoffs. Meanwhile, Kyle Busch continues to work his way through traffic, being hounded by Ross Chastain. Martin Truex Jr. is only 1.6 seconds behind Busch. 3 cars blanketed by 1.5 seconds.
Yeah, that car in front of Kyle Busch, 14 of Briscoe, he is not going to cut him any slack. He is trying to stay in the lead lap.
I'm still a little confused about how the 1 got by the 8 and the 8 got right back by the 1. They both made it look so easy. I'm not sure if he just caught the 8 in a bad position. Like right here, right on corner exit.
This is going to be a tough pass, so Kyle Busch he's got to be really good right here. If not, he can make a mistake, and Chastain can get by him. Briscoe gives him the top, but now Briscoe up to the top. No, he doesn't. Oh, he pitches him off.
Whoa, in the wall! Busch is gone! It's over for Kyle Busch.
Let off here, let it roll, let it roll. Caution is out.
A day that looked like a dream run and maybe a victory run has come to an end.
Controversial as well with racing with the 14. Very, very tight racing for a car that was trying to stay on the lead lap.
Briscoe in 26th keeps him on the lead lap. Now if they can make some changes, he can work himself up to the front. But I can tell you what, the driver in this car is not happy. Right here, Briscoe gives him the top. Kyle Busch, good forward momentum. Here comes Briscoe up the racetrack.
I mean, Briscoe gave him 95% of a lane. I'm not sure it was a whole car width, and the 8 lost control. I mean, you see it gasses up. He's going to try to get to the outside of the 14 if there's room for a car there, which I think there is. It's by like a few inches.
Yeah, it's a few inches, and the problem was that Kyle Busch couldn't be patient in that situation because of the fact Chastain being right behind him. He thinks Briscoe's giving him the top, and he's not. And the way Briscoe entered turn 1, I would have thought if I was Kyle Busch that Briscoe was going to give me the top.
Oh, boy.
And this is where it comes down to what driver etiquette they believe, because the 14 does not slide up and hit the 8.
Correct.
There's never contact, and there is room to the outside of the 14, but not enough room for a guy like me to drive a car in there. Now, Kyle Busch, maybe, you know, you're talking just a few inches to fit the 8 in, and there's going to be disappointment on top of the pit box.
All the drivers talk about how aero sensitive these cars are. As soon as the 8 gets on the outside of the 14 like that,
yeah.
he starts to lose control. And again, he couldn't just take his time with Briscoe because he was afraid with Chastain behind him. If he doesn't pull that pass off, Chastain's going to get a big run. And can you imagine the disappointment with Kyle Busch? I mean, all that's on the line for him, that close, 30 laps to go with the lead.
And just a reminder, he's still inside the top 10. You know, he brought the yellow out, but kind of blended back in with the field. So pit road's going to open. And I would imagine 25 laps on the tires. I think this is going to be a tough decision. I think pit road is going to be where you want to end up, 4 versus 2. So many cars in the lead lap. I think this is a four-tire call, but let's see if crew chiefs want to gamble.
When Jeff said with everything on the line about Kyle Busch, what he was referring to was trying to end a 50-race winless streak that goes back to Worldwide Technology Raceway, Gateway last year. He's trying to win for the 20th season, at least one win in a season for 20 years. That's what's on the line for the 2-time Cup Series champion.
And
this has been a big day here in Kansas.
And what an opportunity for pit crews to step up right here. William Byron, Alex Bowman, Denny Hamlin, any of those playoff guys, if they could leave pit road with the lead and win this race, they advance to the next round, Parker.
That would be huge for Alex Bowman. He's been so happy with that race car. They're electing to make minimal changes on the 48, and that's been the trend for them all day. They just consistently had speed. We'll see if they do 4 Goodyear tires here.
You see top right, William Byron. He just said progressively looser. Bottom left, Ross Chastain, your leader. He said, I need to be a little bit better on the entry of the corner. Asked to be tightened up. Air pressure adjustment for fresh Goodyear tires, Sunoco fuel, Marty.
Martin Truex Jr. in a position to win a race in his final year in the NASCAR Cup Series. James Smalley said, do you want any changes? He said, I want none. And how about that? The 19 team delivers on pit road. Lee, last week, pit road took them out of the playoffs with a speeding penalty for Martin Truex Jr. Today, the pit crew delivers and gets him the lead.
Truex said last week, it was on me, it was my fault. Look at the 19 team, fist pumps, high fives. They're proud of themselves, and so they should be. Their man wins the race off pit road. For RCR and Kyle Busch, what looked like in many ways a winning day has gone away from them. On this gorgeous day in America's heartland, these aerial images have just been beautiful today of Kansas Speedway, and we want to say thanks to our friends at Traveller Whiskey for providing today's aerial coverage, a day that has seen so much. 14 different leaders, so many playoff races impacted by different things. Each and every one of them has got a different story to tell, some more positive than others. There's been some great comebacks, there's been some problems. There's a great comeback. Chase Elliott driving his way through the field. Christopher Bell, he's led 122 laps, but he's in 14th place. And Kyle Larson, who had a good portion of the opening part of this race not on the lead lap, he's in the top 20 trying to go for a top 15.
All right, very interesting restart right here. Brad Keselowski, he last pitted on lap 220. He did not pit right here. He's on the inside. You see Martin Truex Jr. is on the outside of him. Alex Bowman picked behind the 6.
When they hit the line this time, there'll be 26 laps to go. Can this be the day that Martin Truex Jr., albeit a week too late, but can Martin Truex Jr. get a win in his final full-time Cup season? Keselowski will bring them back to green, but it's the 19 that'll be on the charge. And watch that Ally Chevy. Alex Bowman goes to the inside of Keselowski.
Oh,
Keselowski shuts the door.
Yay, cut him off.
A few have to check up. They're 4 wide. There's contact. They're scrambling. Reddick's in the middle and he's going backwards. It's Martin Truex Jr. who leads them into 3.
3 wide for second. Bowman on the bottom, Chastain middle, Byron top. Byron losing time. Bowman and Chastain door to door off the corner. Here's where Byron can help. Can he get to the back bumper of Bowman, shove his teammate by? No, he goes to the top.
William Byron sitting center of track. Bowman and Byron, the Hendrick teammates, have had a really good day today, and Byron goes, there's a big crash. Carson Hocevar is in it. Yet another incident shortly after a restart. The Spire Motorsports Chevy driver has had a good day up to that point. What happened to the rookie? Gilliland's on the high side, Briscoe's down below. Gets hit by Gilliland.
Yeah, he had trouble. He had to lift off the gas, and Gilliland just didn't get slowed down.
The 77 was kind of half wrecking, and then the 38 showed up on the scene, couldn't get slowed down, trying to, you know, in normal traction considerations, the 38's thinking about pushing the 77, but the 77 was kind of tail happy off the corner and finally came around. You mentioned Keselowski, who stayed on the last restart. He's all the way back to 23rd. Those older tires had no chance.
A lot of drivers stayed out to get back in the lead lap, so that has put, we're going to have like
the whole field,
31 drivers on the lead lap. So think about that. If you're a guy that's racing in the playoffs, and something happens to you, there's 31 cars on the lead lap. You could easily leave here running 31st. You know, you could have a problem with 2 to go. So that can have a huge bearing on who can make the next round of the playoffs.
So, Jeff, it kind of sounds like you're saying anything can happen over these closing 22 laps. Well, anything can happen is the theme for next weekend in Talladega.
Push hard, easy, easy, hold on to it, hold on to it, hold on to it. Go high, get away, come on, get away.
That's how it goes here sometimes.
Super speedways, man. If it's your time to crash, it's your time to crash.
Come on!
Talladega is a stress ball of emotion.
All I can do is laugh, man, every time.
It's about my guys, it's about what we've done. It brings a lot of emotion, a lot of joy.
Move up, yeah! Let's go, baby. Did we get it? There, we got it. Woo! Let's go, baby!
Do you know, as we show you the updated playoff points in the bottom left, so many of the drivers said Kansas is a place where we can go and have a good day because we can kind of be, pardon the pun, but we can be in the driver's seat a little bit more than at Talladega. Talladega is one of those variables. Today has proven to be one of the great variables. Tell us more, Marty.
Let's chat with James Small. They have called a terrific race today. So not in the playoffs, but are the nerves still here, trying to get Martin one final one in his last year?
To be honest, no. It's just with everything that's going on, the nerves are shot, so they're gone. So yeah, just happy so far. You know, still a little bit to go here. Actually have a good clean run for the first time in a while. So we'll see if we can finish it off here.
He got a terrific restart last time, but he struggled on restarts today. What's he struggling with?
It's just everything, you know what I mean? I think just more so a little bit tight, and it's why we're a little bit better on the backside of a run. So hopefully, you know, the air pressure's built up a little here to help us. So we'll see how we go.
So he says there's no nerves, Parker. I might challenge that because I still see him shaking his foot down here on top of the pit box.
Right, Marty, we'll see if there's nerves here on the 48 pit box, catching up with Blake, Harris, crew chief Alex Bowman. You guys have been in the top 5 throughout today. What is it going to take on this restarts here?
Yeah, we just got to get a little track position back. So a few of those guys flipping the stage kind of put us in a weird spot. We had to take the stage win and the points, and he did a heck of a job to get back through traffic. So I think if we can get through this first couple sets of corners and maybe get to second, we might have a shot, you know, to get whoever comes out of that corner with a lead. So yeah, I feel good about our car, our pace. Alex done a great job all day, so we just need to execute one restart here and get after it.
What's the policy between him and William Byron? We saw them race down to turn 3 pretty aggressively there.
Yeah, we don't talk about that a whole lot in general. I mean, you know, we race our teammates a step cleaner than anybody else, right? We certainly want to take care of all of our Hendrick teammates, but at the same time, the whole season's on the line in these races, so we got to go. And I think if they can help each other, they will. But they got to look out for themselves as well.
Each man for themselves, guys.
Stevie, your career was inside the walls of Hendrick Motorsports, having 4 cars in the playoffs. What is that competitiveness like across the 4 cars with the 4 crew chiefs? What's the environment like inside there?
Well, that's what it's built around. You want to be the best of the best, and you feel when you work in those walls that you're surrounded by the best. And I think Blake said it the best there. There's really not even any conversation. It's completely built around sharing information and helping with knowledge. But when it comes to execution and racing, there can only be 1 car in victory lane. That's never going to change. You can't take all 4 of them. You want to be that 1 car. So I like what he said. What he said, Jeff, 1 step cleaner than the next. They didn't say clean, just 1 step cleaner. And I think the fans should applaud that, because the day that Bowman doesn't block Byron, they should start scratching their head. Those are 2 playoff guys, both going for a win.
You see how this choose worked out. Martin Truex Jr. picked the top, Chastain the bottom. Alex Bowman, he went with Truex, so believing the top's going to be a way to go. And Kyle Busch, don't count him out.
There he is, right there. Came in on the same lap as everybody else, Jeff, as we saw.
I think if you're Chastain, you're going to be very concerned with Byron getting to your left rear. The way this front stretch, the shape of it works, Jeff, there's just so much room to the driver's left if the 24 can get his restart timed right.
This is that incident we saw while he was battling, put Briscoe a lap down, and you can just see there was a lane there, but barely a lane there. Just trying to push the car, and this air came off of it, took the downforce away from it, and contact with the wall.
And you called it. You called it ahead of time. You said that Briscoe was not going to make it easy. He didn't move, but he just didn't give him a wide avenue. All right, are you ready to go? There'll be 20 to go. When they see the green, it's 2 non-playoff drivers that lead this field back to green. Martin Truex Jr., Ross Chastain. Here come the playoff guys. Hamlin with a big move, and they're 4-5 wide into turn 1.
Chastain's cleared them.
Great restart. Here comes William Byron. Look at that blue and white car.
Oh.
The Valvoline Chevy on the attack on the inside. Blaney is back in the mix. That last caution came out at a good time for him. Remember, he was playing catch up after having to come back to pit road for a loose wheel. Hamlin again on that low side. He's on the attack.
He is +6 since the restart, making it work on the bottom of the racetrack. Can he keep the momentum up? Bell to his outside. They're going to try to drag race. I believe Hamlin's going to want to sneak in behind him. He won't. He'll stick with the bottom.
Good, resilient late race drive by Christopher Bell. the leader of 122 laps today, but the end of both of the stages went away from him. None more dramatic than the end of stage 2. Christopher can make up for it here in the final 18 laps. Ty Gibbs has had a good day in that 54.
He really has. There's a little bit of, I don't know, it was contact or Blaney just giving him a little shake.
Chastain over Byron. Less than half a second in it. Then third is Martin Truex Jr. Here comes Ryan Blaney, Gibbs and Bowman, then Hamlin.
Chastain's put a little bit more gap on William Byron.
Remember, Blaney had that loose wheel, had to pit under green. It was the Kyle Busch caution that kind of lumped him back into this whole race. He probably had to pit for fuel as the two Joe Gibbs Toyotas chasing the 71 of Zane Smith. And how about Zane Smith?
Awesome,
running
awesome.
7th for Spire Motorsports. We keep hearing that organization time and time again.
And this is legit. Smith is there. He pitted on the same lap as everybody else, 238. That is legitimate speed and a legitimate position. And he's got the 2 Joe Gibbs Racing Toyotas chasing him down.
Oh, Christopher Bell's clear. Oh, he just didn't take it. It would have been very aggressive to pull up in front of Hamlin.
Still there, outside.
There, he's got it. Now he's got it.
A little further back in the field, if you're wondering where Kyle Larson is, 21st. Chase Briscoe has clawed his way up to 18th. Logano 16th.
And Reddick 26th, a shock here at Kansas.
Sure is. He won this race a year ago. Meanwhile, up front, Ross Chastain leads William Byron.
And they're just matching lap time. I mean, I keep trying to figure out who has the advantage, but they match almost to the 100th, lap after lap.
Let's go back and watch this restart. Truex on the top. He picked the top. He was the leader. Chastain on the bottom of the racetrack. The chaos back there. But watch what Ross Chastain does to get this lead. Good momentum. Bowman tries to make the middle work. And when it did, the air kind of pushed the 19 up the racetrack a little bit. Chastain out with the lead.
That lap, Byron closes. It had been pretty equal. Just a half a tenth, but a half a tenth in the right direction. 13 to go is still a long time around this racetrack.
As they run, playoff points as they run. This man here would be on top.
Closest finish in NASCAR Cup Series history in the spring, 1/1000th of a second. The last 3 times, the lead has changed in the final 2 laps.
Well, Byron's got to find a little bit of speed because he's kind of matching the pace, but he's going to have to find a little bit if he's going to try to run Chastain down. And Chastain's not going to leave that wall. He's going to make William Byron, if he can catch him, he's going to make him try to pass him on the inside.
And if you're William Byron at plus 34, you want to win, but what are you willing to risk it for that last position, for the guaranteed advancement?
Talking of last position, that's where Chase Elliott started after that engine change yesterday. The 9 is up to position number 10. Round of applause for that driver and that team. That's an awesome effort here at Kansas to work your way methodically through the field for a top 10 result. He's not there yet. There's still 11 laps to go.
Nice work by the 9. Drives up to the left side of the 71. That much grip. I think he'll be able to clear him down into turn 3.
In the top box, Ross Chastain. Just take a moment to think about the organization that he drives for, Trackhouse Racing. This weekend, they're racing in 2 of the world's premier forms of motor racing on either sides of the world. 2 bikes in MotoGP competition, 2 cars in NASCAR Cup Series competition. What Justin Marks and the executive team at Trackhouse Racing has created is unprecedented. No team owner has ever had an entry in MotoGP and NASCAR Cup Series. It's incredible what this organization has done. And they may just drive to victory lane today in the hands of Ross Chastain.
Yeah, he's done that in relatively short term as well. And Justin Marks, he is an innovative thinker. He is not afraid to make gambles, not afraid to try things.
Well, that's why him and Ross Chastain are such a good fit, because Ross drives how he thinks it needs to be done. He doesn't follow the normal mold. Tenacious, hard to get around, a real tough driver behind the wheel, and he might need it in these last 8 laps, because I think that last set of corners, the 24 found a little something.
And Chastain lost a little something. Chastain 2/10 of a second slower than the lap before.
It's hovering at that half a second mark. Might go to 7/10, comes back to 4/10 of a second. Has William Byron got something?
So William Byron's running just a little bit lower on corner entry. He's been forced to do that because Chastain's right against the wall.
Vice chairman, former driver of mine, Jeff Gordon, made the 24 famous. Won here at this racetrack in the inaugural race. Came to Kansas, put the 24 in victory lane. William Byron trying to do the same. The interesting thing about this next-gen car, though, is when you get close enough, the draft down the straightaways is almost going to be a little advantage for the 24. I know you want clean air in the corner, but here he comes. 5, 6 car lengths. He'll have a little bit of a toe down the straightaway.
You watch what William Byron does on corner entry. It's helped him just a little bit. Again, just a little bit quicker. See, he's just a little bit lower than Ross Chastain on corner entry, and that's where he gains. The rest of the corner, Steve, looks pretty equal.
5.5 laps to go. William Byron, 4/10 of a second off Ross Chastain. Ross's teammate at Trackhouse, Daniel Suarez, is in the playoffs and featured in that unbelievable finish at Atlanta Motor Speedway, where the winning margin was 0.03 of a second. Maybe today it's Ross's turn to have one of those nail-biting finishes. He won the season finale last year at Phoenix.
Truex in third is going to be hoping or wishing he could redo that restart over again, Jeff.
Yeah, it did not work out the way he wanted it to. William Byron trying something different right there. He ran lower on entry, but then low on exit. Look at what he's doing here.
I think it's time, right? Coming to 4 to go. He knows he wasn't going to get there doing the same thing. Let's see. Lap time says not as good.
But he has to do something. It wasn't as good, so he went back to running the top on corner exit, and it was a little bit better.
Well, we're fascinated by the front of the field. Just updating you on the back and some playoff drivers. Austin Cindric, 34th. Larson has plummeted to 26th. Reddick, 25th. You wouldn't have predicted that at the drop of the green earlier today. Chase Briscoe, 22nd. 3 laps to go from here in Kansas.
1 car out in the distance for the 1 of Ross Chastain. It's the 84 of Jimmy Johnson. I would imagine Jimmy will give way when he sees the 1 coming. He does, goes to the bottom of the racetrack, allows the 1 and the 24 to battle it out up top. He's been in these battles before. He knows he doesn't want to be a part of it.
He's really free. Force him to plug. Still down there.
There you go. He's very free. Information from the pit box of the 24.
Yeah, the problem is he's too far away from him to be able to apply enough pressure. Chastain knows right now that he might give a little bit of pace up, but he can't give that much pace up. That was a big gain by William Byron on corner exit.
This corner has to be perfect. If the 24 can do that again, the white flag lap will decide it. He's done it. A lane lower, closing in on the 1.
Look at that. It's down to 2.5 of a second. They're coming to the white flag. 1 lap to go here in Kansas, presented by Credit One Bank. It's 2 Chevrolet-powered cars from 2 different racing organizations at the front. 1 non-playoff driver, 1 playoff driver. Who wants this more? If William Byron stays where he is, he's still going to leave Kansas as the top-seeded driver as he takes a shot on the low line on Ross Chastain. Checkered flag is waiting, and it's going to be win number 1 for season 2024 for Car 1. Ross Chastain and Trackhouse Racing win in Kansas.
Way to go.
The 31-year-old Floridian has done it. Both of Trackhouse's drivers have been victorious this year. What a day. Career win number 5 for Ross Chastain. That's how much it means. Look at him, he is pumped. And he had some epic battles out there, especially the one with Kyle Busch.
Yeah, and that's just a great race. This racetrack just does not disappoint. So much fun. See his teammate pulling up next to him, finished 13th. That was a win for Suarez.
Yeah.
He did not run that well today, but found a way to get a 13th.
Hey, we're gonna see a watermelon get smashed.
Here it comes, the signature move for Ross Chastain, the watermelon man. His family has watermelon farms down in Florida. That poor truck driver has to bring it out in a hurry. Superstition says it can't leave the hauler until the win is official, and I like that. I won't say I'm superstitious, but I'm superstitious enough to agree with that. No celebratory.
I think that worked the way he wanted it to.
Yeah.
That would have been challenging to do that on that much banking.
I love the reaction because it reflects how much a win in Cup Series competition means. Ross Chastain's not in the playoffs. He can't be a champion this year, but that win just meant the world.
It is so difficult, Steve, to bring enough to the racetrack to beat the playoff guys. They are bringing everything they've got. And when you're able to win a race and you're not in the playoffs, it feels so good because you know how difficult it is.
What's that?
He's soaking it up. He's going to make the most of it. It's been almost a year since his last victory. Ross Chastain is having some fun with this one.
Blew the car, found the logo in the infield. He was going through, I think, all his partners. Ed Van Health, Kubota.
Be one of the longest victory burnouts I've seen. Come on, Ross, the watermelon's waiting.
The 7th generation watermelon farmer gets to celebrate here in the Midwest in the only way that he loves to celebrate, with a little watermelon smash for the Kansas race fans after the sprint by the hauler driver all the way from the garage area to the front stretch here at Kansas Speedway. Ross Chastain, the winner here in Kansas. Didn't make the playoffs, but they showed up in the playoffs. Last year, they won the championship race at Phoenix, not part of the playoffs, but they kick off the round of 12 for the playoff drivers as a non-playoff participant, but get it to victory lane. What is it about this race team and the propensity to be able to win these big playoff races, Ross?
What do you mean? What's the big deal? We won. No, it's a huge deal, Marty. I am going to take down my consumption just a little bit, but for us on this one team, it's what Cup racing's all about. It's what Justin Marks bought into Trackhouse with Pitbull to bought into NASCAR with Trackhouse to do stuff like this, to disrupt. And Look, there's been times this year where we couldn't have disrupted the minnow pond outside of Darlington, let alone a cup race. It's hard. It's really tough. So, you know, to come and do this today, there's times where I didn't think after practice and qualifying we had what it took. I thought we'd been way stronger here in the past, and it didn't feel great all day, but our Kubota Chevy, gosh, it was better as the rubber went down, and the adjustments were great. I do have to say, I've got quite the bill piling up at Kubota, so this is definitely going to help go to paying that off. I got some new M6s headed down to the farm, and I've also been on Jim Campbell and everybody at GM for one of the new Silverado EVs, so I think I get front of the line now on that. But to win this today is remember that process I talked about at Nashville last year. We haven't left. We haven't went away. Nobody's slowed us down other than ourselves, and today we were the fastest car.
He talked about being a playoff disruptor. He was certainly that today. Leave Ross Chastain wins here at the Kansas Speedway.
Congrats. Huge effort, great drive, and great celebration. A day that saw 10 cautions, 14 different leaders, and ultimately car number one, position number one. Well done, Ross Chastain. He and the Trackhouse crew are going to celebrate. It was a good result for his teammate as well. Good points. And their top rider in MotoGP finished in the top 10, so it's been a massive day globally for Trackhouse. We've got a whole lot more to come from Kansas. Stay with us.